Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how are we doing this week?
I'm not bad. Small update on the saga of me probably spending too much money on magic cards. I'm almost done. I'm missing 5 mythics, 10 rares, and then I'm out. I'm done. I'm not gonna try it. I'm just
That's
getting
actually
singles. Yeah. No, I'm
that's
very
actually
surprised.
really impressive.
Yeah, I'm surprised at my luck with I don't get me wrong, I got copies, but not nearly as many as I thought I would have. And some of the copies I've pulled are worth money, so those are just going towards buying the stuff I don't have. So it's almost the demon is almost cleansed. It's almost purged.
That's awesome. I'm very happy for you. And with us this week is a special guest from the JRPG Pursuit podcast from youtube.com/at Dallah Games. We have Dallah himself. Dallah, how you doing?
Hey everyone. Hey, I'm doing well. Just excited to be here. The party chat, just hanging out. I mean, I'm so used to talking to Emily and Brandon. I'm over that. I'm ready to come here and hang out with you guys right now.
This is actually how we announce we're poaching Dallah, by the way. This is actually the new format moving forward.
Exactly. They don't know about it yet, so it's gonna be rough, but it's okay.
This is how they'll learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, we're great to we're happy to have you. You and Brendan and Emily were gracious enough to have us on our pod, and we're just like, we're gonna slowly and surely do the same. And for me myself, I wanted you on first just because I kind of knew Emily just through coming across her YouTube previously, and then Brendan and I have collaborated several times before, so I was just like, and I really enjoyed I loved everyone. Just to be clear, I just really loved your vibe. I really loved your vibe.
Thank you.
And I wanted to get to know you better and get to know everything about Dallah. So we'll get to that later in the show. I do want to go on we're shorter on time this week, but I want to go on a small tangent here.
Oh boy.
Over the past week, I have gone on a journey, Kevin.
I'm starting the timer, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I've gone on a journey. And I have gotten obsessed with Love Island USA.
I've seen you posting about that a lot on Twitter.
It's crazy.
It's been happening in the Discord too. Like you and Mike have been going back and forth about it. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell either of you are talking about.
So for some Cameron lore, growing up, we only had two TVs with cable. It was the living room one and the one in my parents' room. And my mom always stayed downstairs. She only really went to the room if she was going to bed. So if she was home, the TV was hers. And she watches reality television. So I grew up watching a lot of reality TV. And I'm at a point in my life where it's just like, dang, I still really love reality television, but I also don't want to put that much time into it. Yeah. But TikTok has been showing me all this drama that's happening on Love Island, and I'm like, I gotta see what's up. And so I have, and Kevin can tell you, I do not have a lot of free time. And I have binge watched this show. I am up to date. I watched last night's episode, and it has been a whirlwind. And instead of and I have been dissecting this show in a way that's just it's crazy. Not last night's episode, but the episode before that. It was wild. It was so wild. And I really, even if you're not into reality shows, I really think that you should give it a shot. Anyone that's listening to this, it's really good. Because the thing that's nice about it is that even though it is a game, they don't present it as much as so. It's you were here to fall in love, explore, connect with people, things like that. And so it's not really about winning a game per se, but it's interesting because without going into the spoilers, some of the players are very much trying to gamify what's going down, but it also comes across as petty jealousy. It's very interesting. The psychology behind a lot of the things that's happening, it really is eating my, like it's really buzzing
Yeah.
my brain in a good way, because I really love to like explore and like view what makes people tick. You know what I mean? Like I'm very that stuff really interests me. So it
Yeah.
has been
It's
really
funny.
really good. It has
It's
been
funny because
really good.
I saw a a TikTok post this morning about that specifically, where like it was like somebody made a post saying like this is the girl version of like how guys watch sports, and it's like them sitting on the chair going like just going like yelling at the TV and like going nuts over it, and I'm just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, the amount of people on Saturday night being like, I think I'm missing Game 7 of the NBA Finals so I can watch Love Island. Like
That's
literally,
wild.
there are like bars having Love Island watch parties.
That is
Uh,
wild. That is
it's
wild.
it feels like an event. It feels like an event, and it's really
Yeah.
great. Um, but anyway, that was my
Yeah.
little spiel for this week. We're gonna
So
get into
everybody
some
check it out.
housekeeping. Yeah, no, check it out. Check it out. We're gonna get into some housekeeping, and then we're gonna get into the news for this week, which pretty like news week. If you've been enjoying the show, please go to your podcast platform of choice, give it a 5-star rating. Go to our YouTube, youtube.com/@ partychat JRPG pod, and hit the subscribe button over there. Really helps get exposure. It really goes a long way for us. If you want to give us a little bit more support financially, we do have a Patreon where we have a few tiers that give access to the episode a day early, our exclusive Discord, a monthly Q&A, our Campfire Catalog podcast, which is our book club, and the game that we're currently working on, slowly but surely, is The Legend of Dragoon.
Ooh.
So if that interests you, that's available to you as well. Go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson and hit the subscribe button over there, as we're trying to get Kevin to 1 million subscribers before the end of the year. And lastly, go to youtube.com/@ Dallah Games, DALLAHGAMES, just to make sure they know how to spell it.
Yeah. You never know.
And hit the subscribe button over there as well, and support Dallah, and his, him willing to grace us with his presence and volunteer his time.
You're giving me too much credit there, but yes.
But yeah, so for the news for this week, I think like the main story to talk about is that there is going to be a Capcom Spotlight on June 26th at 3 p.m. They're going to be covering Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, both of which we have impressions preview on our YouTube channel and podcast services. We got to play Pragmata, and then we got to see a behind closed doors thing for Resident Evil Requiem and Onimusha Way of the Sword. So if that interests you, check that out. And it's also covering Monster Hunter Wilds and Street Fighter 6. So my first question is, Dallah, any of these games excite you?
Oh, of course. Like I was blown away by the trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. At first, like when I first saw that trailer, I was like, is this a Remedy game? Like, because it had Remedy vibes. Like the initial part of it, I was just like, I don't know, like where this was going.
Yeah.
And then like the more clues start to twinkle down, and then you're like, oh, they're playing this long game through the whole showcase. Like they planned this all out. And then I was like, okay, this is Resident Evil, and it looks really cool. Actually, I'm super pumped. Like it's a gorgeous looking game. I like the kind of mystery aesthetic to it, kind of like solving the situation. Like it just seems like a really fun game, and I'm gonna jump into it. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I love playing all the games. And then Pragmata looks pretty awesome. Like I don't know, like I saw your guys' take on it, and I'm excited to get my hands on it at some point. I know that game has been kind of they announced that a while back, and it was like silence for a while.
Yeah.
So when it dropped again,
I was really worried there for a minute we were going to have like a deep down part 2, like you announced this game at the start of the generation and then we just never hear about it again. Which I would still love for that to maybe come back to life, but Pragmata's looking great, and the bit of time we had with it is awesome.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. Is there anything particular people are hoping to see from this one? Because for me, I would say, based on the games we're seeing, Requiem, I feel like, the first trailer we got was very like, hey, just kind of the early pitch. Here's the opening stuff. I feel like it's inevitable we're going to get one franchise mainstay cameo, right? Like either Leon's in it or Claire or Jill. Like someone is going to show up, just like how we had Chris in 7 and 8. So I kind of want to just get that over with. Like, let's just get the reveal. Like, let's just see who it is. Is Leon back? Like, again, it's fine. He's basically become the poster at this point. And maybe also just a little bit more of like, if there's any changes to combat. Because what we saw for 9 so far was very much like, you have no weapons, you're in a dark hallway, which is ultimately actually where I enjoy the game more, but I'm also not going to kid myself. Guns and gunplay and everything is going to be a large part of this in the final product. So,
oh yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to take this from just mechanics perspective. Like, it's going to be over the shoulder, how that's going to look and whatnot, and like who the main character is going to be that you're going to be playing as.
More about her.
It's going to be about her, but also like, whether, Leon, I imagine it has Leon vibes. I think the game feels like it's going to, I think Chris would, I think, to see Chris come back.
Yeah.
But
I think having Chris in 7 and 8 already rules him out. And I think because they also went to the trouble of remaking and re-releasing Resident Evil 4, not just because that would print money anyways, but like that, like Leon is much more in people's brains, I think, because of that and 2 remake.
Yeah.
I would actually love to see Jill, like a proper Jill update, because especially with what they the direction they took her in 6 and stuff, or not 6 and 5, was a little weird. And like we did get her again in the Revelations games, but I would actually really love for her to make a proper cameo. But I do feel like it's probably Leon. We'll see. They need
to do her justice again in a proper, because after 5 and 6 were fun, but they're not they're not true Resident Evil. Like they don't feel like a Resident Evil game. But yeah, it'd be great to have Jill, and she's wonderful. But we'll see. Hopefully we get something.
Yes.
Yeah. Same. Ditto. I don't know. I'm not a Resident Evil guy. So yeah.
Yeah. Zombies. Am I right, fellas?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the next story, Sega accidentally revealed sales numbers for several of their titles during the Sega Sammy management meeting presentation. So they had a PDF and it wasn't formatted properly, and so people could just highlight over the omitted information and it just showed it. So we know a bunch of sales numbers for games that they probably didn't want to share currently. I kind of want to go down one by one and if we have a vibe, a certain vibe on any of these that stick out. We'll get to it. First off, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth currently sitting at 1.66 million copies. And for comparison, Yakuza Like a Dragon has 2.86. So that's kind of surprising to me. I mean, like, the game's only been out for a little over a year.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that Like a Dragon was such a not like a reset for the series, but it was such a big entry point for new players. Like me and Kevin started the series with Like a Dragon. And so they promoted the crap out of Infinite Wealth. Like, oh, Kiryu's back. It's Ichiban and Kiryu. Like, I really feel like that it was going to get to a higher number quicker than Like a Dragon. Yeah. But also, like, Infinite Wealth, that's a game.
Yeah.
That's a game.
I think there's 2 main things that play a role here. One, as you said, 7 was a great introduction, and I think because of that, there are a lot of people who picked that game up to give it a shot, and maybe just found out it wasn't for them. Right? There are people who maybe kept up with the franchise that was like, oh, I do not like this turn-based party thing. Like, where's my beat 'em up? I don't know. And then there are people who maybe just never tried the series, tried 7, and went, oh yeah, no, I don't like turn-based RPGs. I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is the fact that Infinite Wealth does lean into being, part of what made 7 enticing is you didn't need to know the original games. Like, there's stuff to appreciate, but you didn't need to know. Whereas Infinite Wealth is like, hey, we know 7 allowed you to have a fresh start, but actually you should go play these 7 other Kiryu games right now.
No, that's fair.
That's exactly my take. Like, that's the biggest thing right there. I think it's like the expectation of having to know everything from Yakuza 0 up until 6 to kind of get Kiryu's story. It's harder to swallow for a lot of people. It's like telling them, hey, like, where should you start in Trails? It's the same concept of that perspective. Like, there's so many games to go through to get that full story. And yeah.
No, that totally makes sense. I really did not think about that. That's a very good point. But also, we're also kind of the anomalies where we're the sickos that we're just like, oh yeah, we're going back, we're playing all of them. So it might be just because we're in a company of people that were willing to do that.
Yes.
That I was just like, what? But yeah, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that Like a Dragon, the man who erased their name. Or his name?
His name.
Isn't it his name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
okay,
name,
I don't know
think,
why it's their name. 960,000. Which
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's kind of like a side game a little bit.
it
so,
is I don't know, that game is just worth playing for like that scene near the end of the game. Like that scene is just like so good.
I mean, no denying I think that the ending's great. I just think, because it has that side game thing. I also feel like it didn't. Maybe I'm just misremembering. I don't remember there being a ton of marketing for that one. Like Pyro Yakuza, being a Gaiden game, got marketing everywhere. I feel like I was getting ads for that constantly. Man Who Erased His Name, I don't really recall getting the same treatment.
No. And honestly, like, even with, like, let's say the lower numbers that you're looking at for some of these Yakuza games, like, the cost of making these games are relatively low just because they reuse so many assets. And they have, like, their engine is down. Like, they're not spending much on development in terms of just, like, creating new elements to that. So, like, the cost to those games is probably low enough where they're still coming up on top. From in terms of, like, even if they're selling 900K or 1.5 million or so, like, I think they're still doing well enough that they're not too worried about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we even talked about this a little bit when I was guesting on JRPG Pursuit, where, like, that's kind of the beauty of that and Trails, where, like, their goals are lower because they have figured out their system of how they're making stuff, and there's a target. It's not like if we gave you an infinite AAA budget, make the biggest thing you can and hope it makes its money back. They're like, no, we are reusing as much stuff as we can. We are doing this on a very specific lower budget, and we know we're not going to get Call of Duty numbers. Like, that is not the goal. We have our audience, and we're relying on them.
They're like the opposite of Square Enix, where they're always disappointed with their numbers because it just never hits exactly where they want it because it costs so much money.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Yeah,
that's another one.
Square Enix
we don't want to get into that.
I will say that honestly, thinking about how this game to Infinite Wealth, the turnover is over like 60%. That's like pretty solid. I think for a game that like isn't like it's I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's important enough where, like, hey, you should play this before Infinite Wealth, and a lot of people didn't actually do that, which I think is pretty cool. Persona 3 Reload has sold 2.07 million copies. Sonic Superstars sold 2.43. I feel like this was it sucks, but I feel like this was did not meet their expectations when it comes to the sales of the game. Because I thought that the aesthetic of the game looked really cool. Like I know people that like enjoyed it, but it just wasn't like what it could have been.
Yeah, I saw a lot of unfair, like, because to be clear, I'm not a Sonic guy. Like, I do play Sonic games, but I'm not in the series like that, to where I feel like I have like the greatest grasp of what everyone loves about it. But the vibe I got from a lot of people I talked to is that when you're doing a 2D style Sonic like that, Mania was just better. Like, it's just like cool, they're doing this 3D 2D visual approach, and like the aesthetic's kind of nice, but ultimately it just the actual gameplay experience wasn't really quite there.
Yeah, I think that's just general with like Sonic in general. Like, once you get into like that 3D 2D era for Sonic, it plays weird. Like, I'm not a huge Sonic, like, I love like old school Sonic, and I love Sonic Mania, and I've played like almost beat Sonic Frontier, but I just never finished it. So like I'm like a light Sonic fan, but the ones that are just like 3D, 2D ish, they always just seem, I don't know, they just never seem like they hit as well.
I think there's something about the aesthetic rubs people the wrong way a little bit. It's like how a lot of people don't really care for new Super Mario Brothers, right? It's like, okay, just like either do the wonder thing or make it retro looking. I feel like oftentimes 3D, 2D doesn't get accepted the way that a lot of devs think it will be. Like it's usually pitched like, oh, isn't this a cool thing that it's both of them? And then a lot of people go, no, just do one or the other. That's at least the vibe I get from people I've talked to and what people seem to enjoy visually.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, that sounds about right.
So the only 3D Mario or 3D Sonic you played is Sonic Frontiers?
I mean, no.
Okay, thank God. I would be like, oh no, dog, you need to go back. There's ones worth playing, I promise.
I played Sonic Adventures 1 and 2, and I played some of
the ones, the canon.
Sonic Heroes.
Sitting back, relaxing, playing some Sonic 06. You know me. Like that's how I roll.
I mean, yeah.
Best one.
Yeah, this is I don't know if you know, but this is some Cameron lore. I am like the #1 Sonic Riders fan. Like I genuinely
ride or die for it.
I would rather play Sonic Riders 1 than any Mario Kart. Like with a bullet.
Okay.
Easy.
Yeah.
Like because we were talking about it. We were talking about Kevin's looking at me like, you're fucking crazy. Sure.
Honestly, this is one of the few podcasts where the video version's probably worth it, even though we don't do a lot of layover video, just because the faces I make in response to shit Camp says sometimes, I swear.
Yeah, no, we have some takes on this podcast. No, because like, have you played Riders before?
I have played Riders before. It's fun. I enjoy those.
Okay,
games,
you understand. Yeah, you understand to a certain extent, even if you may not agree with me. But like, I really love the air system and the like how you can basically like surf people's drift.
Yeah.
And those type of mechanics. And it feels like that there's more like, Riders is more of a traditional racing game versus like Sonic Racing, which is like Mario Kart, their Mario Kart. But like it just feels like that there's more skill involved. It's not more like you go forward, you do turns, you get items, and then you try and win. Like it feels like it's no.
Never mind drifting or all the wall running stuff that's now in the new game and all the hop mechanics.
But it's so like no. Here's the thing though. It's like it's so easy.
Sure.
It's so like reactions.
Like in Sonic, because in Sonic Riders, like there's like camera shifts and there's like it's really fast. It feels fast, and it's like there's a sense of skill that exists that I do not think is present in Mario Kart.
I will give you that. I don't know if it's fair to say there's not a sense of skill in Mario Kart. However, I will say that the skill is oftentimes. Hold on.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I think there is skill in Mario Kart, but it also is rendered irrelevant very often, especially in World, because the amount of swing that's happening right now. I don't know if you've been watching some people's videos of all the times they've been robbed of first. It's hilarious. I don't care about being first in kart racers, so I just like the chaos. I find it funny as all hell. But I know a few people that are like, no, I play this to win. Like, I need to be first in these Mario Kart matches. And I'm like, this is not the Mario Kart for you, buddy. I'm sorry. Like, it is madness right now.
It is rarely the Mario Kart for you in that sense, because especially now with like 28?
24?
24? Yeah, 24 sounds right. So like it's pure chaos looking. Like it's just, and there's like, items, depending on the blue shells going everywhere. Like it doesn't matter. Like you just play the game. Like
bullet bills.
The rules don't matter. It's like, whose line is it anyways? But kart racing.
I was saying, like, there is still skill to Mario Kart. I'm just saying that the level of skill is just not the same for me.
Sure.
But and also it's just like Sonic Riders is basically a 3D Sonic game, but it's a racer. Like a lot of its structure is very similar. So but anyway.
That's the skills numbers for Sonic Superstars.
There's your weekly Sonic Ride. I bring up Sonic Riders at least once every 2 to 3 podcasts. It just comes up where it's just like, Sonic Riders.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning of this podcast, like, I'm not going to mention Tokyo Mirage Sessions this podcast. Sonic Frontiers has sold 4.57 million copies,
About
which
right,
is more than I think I expected. I feel
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's kind of a mixed bag where I think that people were excited for Sonic Frontiers because it looked like it was like a new take for Sonic. But I also think that like when the game came out, people were like, it's fine, like it's solid, like it's got some ideas, but it just doesn't
Yeah.
fully like come together. And it just feels like a game where you're just kind of running around as Sonic. There's kind of a lack of direction, which I think they try to kind of Breath of the Wild-esque
Yeah.
Sonic, and it just that doesn't super translate well for Sonic, where you're running fast and you're trying to get through
Yeah.
levels and things like that.
I like the description
So-
of it's a game running around as Sonic.
How did
Just most Sonic games.
and how did you resist saying at the
World.
speed of sound? You said so many times you're like
I know.
running around, like say at the speed of sound. Say it. At the speed of
I'm
sound.
waiting. I was waiting for it.
No, it's rolling around at the
Oh, that's fair.
speed
That's
of
fair.
sound. Yeah.
But you're also
Um,
rolling, so
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like Sonic Frontier, I think like also because like they dropped the price on that so low that like it probably just was an easy buy for like holidays and things like that. So like and most parents are going to buy that for their kids in general. Like
That's
it's an
true.
easy game. So
Yeah.
like I think that's where like a lot of the numbers it taps into that kind of market
I will
outside of like Sonic lovers.
Yeah, and I will say actually, like on the subject of Sonic lovers, I mean, obviously the greater audience is going to be not just that, but of the people that
Yeah.
are like diehard Sonic fans, as I understand it, a lot of them were actually very happy with like Frontiers as a new 3D Sonic. It's like, oh, we finally got like a solid good one. Like this, I really enjoy this, and a lot of people were even like unhappy, I think, with the general. I mean, they always are with the general acceptance of Sonic games, but like especially this one, they're like, no, this one's actually good though. Why are you giving it middling scores? Like, what are you doing? And so I think there was like, I think the support was there for that as well. And like Dallah said, price drops just go a long way. Get that adoption up.
Exactly. Get those units
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it's an easy gift. Yeah.
I enjoyed Sonic Frontiers, but I also can understand the 7 out of 10 area type
Sure.
scores. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
The good old IGN. Yeah.
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 They like to stay around that line. They teeter on that seven.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
Do we care about Total War here? Is anyone a Total War guy?
In concept,
I didn't play it.
In
Yeah.
concept,
I've started
I like
Total.
the idea of it.
I've started Total Warhammer so many times where I'm like, oh, like I need to do like a good fantasy like war simulator, and then I just can't. My brain doesn't work for
Yeah.
it. It's not.
well, for those who do care,
Yeah.
Total War Warhammer 3 has sold 2.34 million, and Total War 3 Kingdoms has sold 3.21 million. I don't know which one
Congratulations,
came out
that's great.
first, but congratulations to the Total War guys out there.
Yeah.
SMT5, including the Vengeance release, has
Oh,
sold
interesting.
2.11 million total.
It's
which-
about right, I think. That's a good amount for SMT. Like SMT
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
niche in the niche genre in general that like that's not bad. I mean, granted it's 2 releases, but like
Yeah.
okay.
And one of those releases was restricted just to the Switch.
That's
which,
true.
Like helps a little bit there, but yeah, I do wonder, like, because don't get me wrong, I love SMT, and I'm always excited that we get more of it, and that they haven't abandoned
Yes.
it just for Persona Machine. But I do have to wonder, like, what Sega and Atlas's like internal goals are, and like what, like, I hope that 2 is good for them. Like, I hope they're like, yeah, great,
Yeah.
that's what we were
Yeah.
hoping for, like. Because I want to see that series continue, but I understand it's just never going to sell the same way that like a Persona does at this point, or a lot of different Atlas
Yeah.
titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that's enough to keep them so we can get a 6
Yeah,
at some point.
Strange Journey 2, whatever, something.
Yeah, how did
Yeah.
you all feel about SMT5?
I enjoyed it. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't played the Vengeance version. I need to play that.
Yeah.
And because I played it on the Switch and it's not
Yeah.
very optimal on the Switch. So
It's
like,
not that, yeah. That's part of why the Vengeance re-release I think was nice for people, because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you can now play this on your PC or on your Steam Deck or on Xbox, PlayStation. Like you have more power
Exactly.
to work with.
yeah,
Did Vengeance add like any sort of battle speed up stuff? because that was something that I kind of took issue with in SMT5, where I felt like the battles just like not even like that they took long in the sense of like
Yeah.
killing enemies, but more so in the sense of like the animations were like really drawn out, and I was just like, bro, why is this taking so long?
I think if you do auto battle, you can speed up, but I don't think you can speed up manually inputted actions. I'm not 100% on that off the top of my head, but I distinctly recall doing auto battle speed through sometimes, because then I would like not be paying attention as much as I should, and then it's like, oh god, wait, hold on, I'm getting crit, stop, abandon. Yeah, I don't remember if there was like speed up for manually input stuff. I will say the music, they redid the music and the battle stuff in Vengeance, and I think the battle theme like helped the vibe a lot more. I didn't dislike the original battle theme in 5, but I think it was just a bit too like it needed a little bit more bumping. And
I wasn't crazy about it.
No, Vengeance up to that. I think
especially
Vengeance
when you're
overall,
stuck in it.
Yeah, like I think Vengeance overall is a great upgrade. I think, you know, even if you did play the original version of it, if you were kind of middling on it, I think Vengeance brings enough to the table that it can change your mind. Not to mention the fact that it just runs better, not on a Switch. I will say, with that in mind, not my favorite SMT. Like, it's good, but I definitely would be pushing more people, I think, to like 4, or even honestly just because of its place in history and how it hits. If you have a certain mentality, Nocturne. But 5 is like, it was like a solid new one. I don't think it did anything to break any barriers, but it was more SMT.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there really wasn't anything that it was bringing new to the table. It was just a good, fun, like, well, relatively, you know, fun in the sense of like we'll destroy you sometimes. Great SMT game. So yeah, I'm excited for more of it. I hope they do more. We need more. We need more variety. So not just Persona 5 spinoffs.
Well, okay. Hold on now. Persona 5 Strikers is
a great game.
Super underrated. We're talking about underrated. We're talking about underappreciated JRPGs later.
Hold on.
That's one of them.
Yeah, the issue wasn't with Strikers specifically, though. It was overall.
Oh, I know. The idea.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not hating on it.
Don't get me wrong. We don't like, unless we're getting Persona 5 Arena, we're done with Persona 5.
That's the only one I'll accept at this point. Yep.
We're done with Persona 5.
I need Persona 5 Dance All Night.
Oh, wait, we do.
Do we have Dance All Night? Was it Persona 5 or was it Persona 4?
Dancing in Starlight.
Dancing Starlight.
Okay, Dancing Starlight.
They did, yeah. It was a combo release with 3.
I always forget. I can't keep track of all those.
That was when I knew that they were remaking Persona 3. I was like, oh, they remade the models. Of course they're remaking Persona 3.
That's true. Okay. Yeah, I'm you know, more Persona is always good. Just let's see what happens next.
5. Yeah. Let's stop with the 5.
I feel like they're struggling to figure out what 6, because they have so much to live up to, because there's so many new fans now. Like, you know, Persona wasn't really big until 5, and so now they're like, everybody's focused on Persona like as a series, and so like the next game needs to step up.
Which, like, to highlight that, I feel like people were saying that about 3, where like they were like, oh, like there's people playing Persona now with Persona 3 because this whole calendar thing's so interesting. And it's like that was still such a tiny audience compared to how much it blew 5. Like,
exactly, because 4, like, you know, 4 was popular.
Oh yeah,
but barely.
4 started the gears to turn, for sure.
Yeah, like it was starting to get more, but then 5 just took off, and it's wild how much like that really stuck with like the general public.
Cool costumes.
Really quick, because we have a specific way of thought here on this podcast with Persona.
Okay.
Have you played Persona 3 through 5?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, rank them for us.
Hands just. Tell me now.
It's going to be 4, 3, 5.
That is the correct answer, at least for me. For Kevin, it's 3, 4, 5. But
yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, no, but that's a valid. And to be fair, like, especially if we're not really talking about Reload, I 100% understand 4 over 3, because like, as much as I love 3, the original mechanics do not age great.
No, they don't.
The main reason why I asked is because we both very much strongly think that 5 is the weakest of the 3.
We talk a lot of shit, basically.
Yes.
We think dancing around.
We think all of the games are like masterpieces, basically.
Yeah, it's
but,
great.
They're all amazing games, but I completely agree. Like, when I finished, I mean, I 100%, I platinumed 5. So I did everything. So I enjoyed the game, but like, looking back, once I finished 5 and looking back at, 4 really stood out to me because I loved the setting. I loved the story, like that murder mystery aesthetic that was
Yes.
happening. Like it was
Yes.
just right up my alley. Like that narrative just hits differently for me. So like that,
Yes.
I'm always going to love that. And 3 was just like my first soiree. So like I'm going to lean towards that in general before 5.
Mhm.
And 5, just honestly, it was good, but the narrative, it just didn't like pull me in as much as the other ones.
I think the royal content is like is
It
very
is better.
That-
Yeah, the
it
royal
makes it
content
so
is
much
good.
better.
That's,
Like I think Dr.
yeah.
Maruki is one of the best like antagonists of recent years. Like super
Yes,
good.
I agree.
But yeah, okay. But speaking of Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Royal, it like all versions of it,
Yep.
7.25 million.
Is that
Which
including
is-
original 5 or just Royal specifically? Because you said all
Just Royal.
versions. Okay. Cool.
Just
Well, PS4, PS5,
Yes.
Xbox,
Every
and
platform.
Switch.
Yeah, but still Royal specifically. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Just royal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
good. Makes sense.
And then lastly, Team Sonic Racing 3.5 million. Honestly, way higher than I thought. Like I feel like Team Sonic Racing was like the most like come and go of the racing games.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember like with the first one, it's like, oh, if you have Xbox 360, you get the Banjo Kazooie and Danica Patrick, and like there's actual like discussion about that, right?
And the Young's
then there-
cast, such a bizarre
And-
eventual like
Yeah.
full lineup.
Yeah.
And then All Star Racing Transformed, a lot of people argue is like on par with Mario Kart games. Like
Yeah.
it's really good, and
Yeah.
that's And then Team Sonic Racing came out, and it was just like, oh, yeah, it's a game, like And so I am really surprised at 3.5 million. But again, it being
I'll tell
Sonic,
you, it's
just being
family.
like, yeah, no, it's definitely like
that demographic. Like it hits that like niche
Yeah.
of like families will buy that for their kids. They're like if they have multiple kids, like
Yeah.
they'll buy one for each, maybe one of
And-
them. So like it just
Yeah.
Sonic
in 10
does
years
that.
time. In 10 years time, there's going to be a generation being like, yo, Team Sonic Racing.
Well,
It's like that game was incredible.
I'm
I
pretty
do-
sure that's now.
And I also think part of it too is what you and I touched on when talking about the upcoming one. I think Team Sonic Racing has the benefit of being Mario Kart for people that don't own a Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like there's just
exactly.
like, hey, I need
Yeah.
a fun family kart racer. We only have a PlayStation. What should I pick up? Oh, we're gonna get this like Sonic Kart Racer, which is not. I'm not trying to be like,
Exactly.
oh, it only gets the pity buy because it's not Mario Kart. I'm just saying like I feel like that's the logic that happens.
is
with
the
a lot of
alternative.
families. Yeah, like that is your alternative if you don't have a
Exactly.
Switch.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. 100%.
and it's like well enough made where like you're not gonna buy like Garfield Racing. Like you're not. You shouldn't be buying that if you are. If you're
Or
thinking
the
about it,
classic-
don't.
What was the Burger King one? There was a Burger King kart racer, wasn't there?
Was it the Sneaky Thief? Like
Well, there's Sneak King.
no,
There is Sneak
there's
King,
Sneak,
which
there was
Sneak
3
King.
games. There was Sneak King. There was it was like a bumper car thing, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm
Was
looking up now.
I can't remember the name of it,
Oh,
but
Pocket Bike Racer.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pocket Bike Racer. Yeah, that was another one.
Yeah. Yeah. What a time to be alive. Where they were
That-
you can buy all 3 of these games for $18 on Amazon right
That's more
That's
than I
so-
would spend, but awesome.
Dude, no.
I-
Eventually, these games are going to be so
In
hard to
museums.
come by and super expensive. Yeah. So
I love that. I love that Burger King went down that road because like
It's-
it harkens back, but not as good as Chex Quest.
Yes.
Of like Chex Quest is one of my favorite games growing up, and so like if they can figure out how to market their own thing in a really cool game, then I'm all for it. I mean, granted, those games were not very good, but the idea, they put some effort into it. But I wanted to find a reason to drop Chex Quest at some point. Like that's it. So I just want to do it. Because that's
I
love
applaud
that
that.
game.
I applaud it. It did get remastered. It's available on current PCs
It
as well,
did.
by the way. So
Yes,
you want a piece
I
of
played
history.
it.
Yeah, so did I. That was a blast from the past from my childhood. That and
I
Master Blaster
know.
raised me.
Literally.
I
Literally.
don't know what y'all are talking about. I don't know what
Oh,
this game is.
so one of the
After this, look it up.
Okay, just really quick. I know we've had so many side
Yes.
tangents already on limited time, but I need to explain this to Cam. You know what Chex are, right? Like the cereal or the little
Yeah,
snack
the
mix?
cereal.
So
Yeah.
Chex cereal in whatever year it was, I don't remember right now off the top of my head. They had a full-blown Doom clone game included in the cereal box. You'd get a CD-ROM, you'd pop that in, and It was a full-blown first-person shooter where you're playing as like Commander Chex, and you're a giant walking Chex with arms, and you don't kill aliens because obviously this is for kids. So instead, you teleport them back to their home planet by using like a teleporter gun. It is the most ridiculous thing, and it got like I think it was I can't remember if it was GOG or who did it, but it got restored and made available on modern PCs recently, like a year or two ago. And
Exactly. And I think Limited Run did a physical edition of it, like a little while ago, that came with like, it was just like a huge set, and I was so tempted to buy it, but I was like, I don't need to spend this much money on this.
I have downloaded it on Steam.
it takes all of 2 seconds.
Good.
Yeah.
Do it. Play it right after this. It is.
I'm definitely not, but I want to make sure, this is something that's like, hey, this could get like delisted at any point. So might as well like get it while it's on the mind.
Exactly.
But cool. Where are my notes? Here we go. More Sega news. Sega has confirmed that Persona 4 Revival and Stranger Than Heaven will release sometime after April 1st of next year.
This makes sense from that trailer.
Yeah. Me and Kevin were on the same page. When we saw that trailer, we were like, oh, this game's not coming out the Q1 of next year, like Persona 3 Reload did.
That trailer did not look like they were prepared to announce it. That trailer felt like they were forced to announce it because of some, leaks and stuff like that.
Leaks, yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing: the timing was very similar, right? Like, so it made sense that like, oh, we'll see something at the Xbox showcase, and so I mean, like, I don't feel like that I don't think they would have announced it unless they were like really ready to announce it. Even though like the trailer wasn't great, it wasn't what we wanted from like a Persona 4 remake announcement trailer. But that's fine with me. Like I actually want to replay Golden before Revival comes out because because that's the thing. Like Persona 4 is my favorite, but I never actually finished it all the way through because it was this whole thing where I was playing it on my Vita and I was in college, and then the Xbox One X was coming out, and I'm like, oh, I don't really have the money. This is really all I'm using my Vita for. I'm gonna sell my Vita. Don't worry, guys. I got another one later. And I'm gonna try and beat this in time. And I couldn't do it. I spent so much time trying to do it, and I was like, I couldn't. So I was like, well, I'll get back to it eventually. So I definitely want to play that and see that one through before the remake.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've not played 4 since Golden on the Vita, so it's been overdue for me to replay it. But I've always been teetering on like, what should I wait? Because I know they're gonna do a remake. But now that it looks like it's gonna be a while, I might dabble in it. But my backlog's too big. I don't know if we'll see.
It's a short game. Don't worry about it.
The backlog is always gonna be a problem. So just play what you want. You know what I mean?
It's true. I just introducing 80+ hour games into my life sporadically is not doing me justice with my Trails addiction and everything else. I've got too many of those.
That being said, like, I mean, we're not trying to get on another tangent, but when I finally caught up to Trails, I wanted to just immediately play through it again. I was like, I will spend 1,000 hours playing through the series again. But I didn't. Kevin, your thoughts on when do you think we're gonna get Stranger Than Heaven?
Oh well, okay. So I think the big question, right, is this? So with it being post April 1st, I feel like spring is unlikely. So the question is like, is it summer, is it holiday, or is it Q1 of 26, right? One of the things that we've talked about with
Q1 of 27.
Or 27, yes. Sorry, 27. One of the things with RGG is that we know they want to try and have a major release once a year. So assuming they don't have some other surprise game to drop out of nowhere, I feel like that title is going to be a priority for next year. It's not going to be Q1 of 27. So I'm feeling like fall. I think kind of like right before the main holiday rush.
It makes sense.
For that one, that'd be my guess. I wouldn't be surprised at like maybe a summer drop, but I feel like maybe fall for that one. Definitely not Q1 because we know that's not happening until after the first.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious just because I feel like a lot of we did get Man Who Erased His Name late of last year.
Mm.
But I feel like most of Yakuza games we get or RGG games we get in the first half of the year.
True.
Mhm.
So my thought, and I think at this point, this game is going to come out before Persona.
Yes. I think so
And
too.
so I'm
Yes.
thinking that this will
Of course.
be a spring game, and then
Okay.
we'll get Persona like holiday season.
Yeah. Unless it's
At the
do a
earliest.
27 title.
Yeah, which I really hope
Yeah.
not, because like I think that there needs to be room to like hype up Persona 6, and I think that Persona 6 needs to come out no later than 2027. If Persona 6 is not out by then, there's
Yeah.
a problem.
I mean, you say that, but like Persona 3
Yeah.
Reload and Metaphor were like right back to back. So
Different
Yeah.
teams though. And
True,
well,
yeah.
different teams, and I don't think that I think there's a difference between like a remake of a already beloved JRPG
yeah,
versus a new IP.
sure.
Mhm.
I think that's different. But when it's like, oh, remake of arguably the most beloved Persona game, and then the next Persona, it's like, for me, it was just like, oh, if I got to pick one, I'm probably
Yeah.
going with Persona 4 remake, because I know what I'm getting from that. I'm still excited
Yeah.
for Persona 6, but if I'm just like one of those people where it's like I
Sure.
can only pick one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where my mindset is, and so I'm
Yeah.
curious as to how that will all come across. Dallah, thoughts?
Honestly, I think well, Persona 6 we're ways away for Persona 6. I have a sneaking feeling we're probably not going to see that till at least late, like maybe Q3, Q4 of 27, if it does happen during that period of time, because I just feel like unless they do something like a Nintendo style like drop where they're just like, hey, this is coming out in 3 months, but it's not Atlus's style to do that. To the date, I have not seen them do like a quick backdrop like drop of any game like that, and the fact that they haven't even hinted at anything Persona 6 related yet, just has me thinking that they're still cooking for a bit.
They're taking their time.
So yeah, exactly. So like I want them to take their time, whatever they need to do to make sure the game's good. But
Yeah,
I think, I'm with Kevin on the idea of like, what's it called?
Stranger Than Heaven.
Stranger Than Heaven probably being like a fall-ish release. I don't think they'll
Okay.
push it to 2027.
crazy.
It'd be because they don't have a lot coming out unless they, like Kevin said, like unless they drop something, like they need to have something.
Yeah. To be
know.
clear, they do also have Virtua Fighter, but I don't
Yeah.
think Virtua Fighter
They do.
counts for what
No.
they've talked about wanting to have like an RGG game, like a Dragon
Exactly.
within that, which Stranger Than Heaven isn't wearing that moniker, but like it's very obviously in that greater universe. I mean, it's in like Suttonbury, like like we're seeing locations in older times. So yeah, I think with that logic in mind, that's certainly the next title in there. Virtua Fighter, who knows when that's going to drop, in the mix with all that.
I know.
And then again, who knows? It feels like because of the benefit of reusing assets, they juggle so many projects all at once. I mean, how fast we got Ishin, Pirate Yakuza, and 8 all back to back is pretty impressive. So
It's wild. They might surprise us. So like everything we're saying right now could be just thrown out the window, 5 months from now, where they're just like, hey, we're gonna just drop all these things in the next like 6 months.
Yeah.
So who knows?
You make a good point, because like I think that a hypothetical Persona 6 is either going to be announced at a showcase in the middle of the summer or the Game Awards, right? And so I think if we don't see Persona 6 announcement at the Game Awards, 2027 feels unlikely to me. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
So
and usually like
go
Atlus
ahead.
doesn't drop anything at the Game Awards. They're mostly going to drop things at Xbox showcases. So we'll probably have to wait till that, because that's like a whole like partnership I think they have with.
I definitely think, well, so with how Jeff Keighley likes to do things, which is like I if I'm in his shoes, I get it, but it's also kind of like, okay, if he knows, if Sega were to hypothetically be like, hey, we got a Persona 6 announcement trailer for you, he's like, bet. He doesn't want money. He just wants that trailer.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then there are other companies that will be like, he will be like, hey, if you want something at the Game Awards, this is how much money you have to pay us. And so I think that if we get a Persona, because still one of the greatest announcements at the Game Awards ever was Joker coming to Smash.
Yeah.
Like no one expected that shit.
That's true.
No one
yeah.
expected.
And
that
that's
shit.
the 1-2 punch of being Persona and Nintendo in that particular case.
Yeah.
Nintendo doing
I
stuff
know.
at the Game Awards is super bizarre.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah.
Like-
And so I think that if there is a Persona 6 announcement trailer ready, or they're ready to announce it, that's like finally at the very least, hey, it officially exists. It would be like the Game Awards makes a lot of sense. Because I also don't know if Xbox would be like with Persona's history with PlayStation. I don't know. That might be the one instance where I think that Xbox may not be the marketing brand deal for Persona 6 because it's a new Persona.
Sure.
But
True.
we'd have to kind of wait and see
Yeah,
on that.
We will see. Yeah.
Some quickies for this week. The SpongeBob Cross Worlds DLC has been officially confirmed. It was announced
Let's
at
go.
the Kids Choice Awards. So we're getting SpongeBob SquarePants characters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Avatar. Which
Let's go.
cool.
Neat.
Hey,
Monster
happy for
Hunter
those
Wilds.
who like it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
No, you're good. Okay. Monster Hunter Wilds Title Update 2 is launching on June 30th. We're getting the Lagiacrus, I don't know how to pronounce that, and the Arch-Tempered Uthaduna for new monsters to fight. And then Transmog is being added, which is known as layered weapons in Monster Hunter. Liza P has hit 3 million copies sold.
Cool.
Did you play Liza P, Dallah?
I actually have not played that one yet. It's been, sitting there waiting for me, but I'll get around to it.
So I have a weird relationship with Souls-like games where I think most like traditional Souls-like games, I think I've never finished any of them because like they just don't keep me interested. I'm one of those people that like, yeah, Souls-like games like on paper should work for me, but they do not. Liza P is the closest, I would say. From Soft or otherwise, where I was just like, okay, I'm into this. So I would definitely check it out. TCG Pocket EV Grove expansion is launching on June 26th. Kevin, are you still playing TCG Pocket?
Nope.
Neither am I.
With every look, I told people I was doing this. I got into it specifically because they were adding my boy Infernape. I pulled a bunch of packs for free until I finally got him the night version, the rare one. And then I played a little longer and went, yeah, I don't actually really like this. And then I just uninstalled it.
Yeah, I was really doing it for the collecting, but then it just
I will say
when you get to the go ahead.
I will say too, I think part of what made me drop off too was like I already knew I wasn't really that into it. And then when a lot of the packs back to back were a lot of like Gen 7 stuff, I was like, I don't really care about Ultra Beasts. I don't care about there's nothing here that I feel like chasing. So we're good. We're done. Congratulations, people.
Yeah, for me, it just got to the point where like most mobile structured games where I just couldn't keep up with it. And I'm just like, and I just like needed like one or two specific cards to complete a set, and I just wasn't pulling it, and I just got frustrated. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. Dallah, do you play Pokemon TCG Pocket?
I do not.
Okay.
I haven't played Pokemon card-based games since my binder of Pokemon cards were stolen from me in middle school. So.
Oof.
Oh damn, the trauma.
I know. I still to this day I'm writing a script for a video of gaming memories, and it's a very deep one in that one right now.
Formative.
But it's it's a formative memory of being like I put my backpack down and I came back to it and it was like open and my binder was gone, and I remember just being I had everything. Like I just
No.
So, to this day I still wake up in sweats most nights, like just trauma-based sweats of just like waking up to that.
I had everything. That's the part that hurt me.
I had everything.
Nah, we gotta move forward. Uh, and right before the podcast, Nintendo announced that Drag Cross Drive is coming on August 14th. So the story for that, this is the game with the wheelchair basketball that they showed
Oh
off.
yes, okay.
So during after the Switch Direct where they announced that, uh we were talking about it and Kevin was just like, "Oh, this is a game that exists." I'm like, "I think this looks sick as shit." I was like super into it. And so it's just funny where I saw that I'm like, "Oh, great. I can't wait to tell Kevin that this game is coming out."
The excitement is
so exciting.
is
No,
intense.
I think
It's
it'd be
intense.
cool. I will say I saw one bit of follow up, and I'm trying to find who I saw posted earlier because I'm having a brain fart on this. At least for a little while, it was listed on GameStop's website as being like $7.99.
What?
Probably an error
Cheaper
because they ended up
than
taking
the
it
Welcome
down
Home?
entirely. Because like cheaper than Welcome Home seems wild to me.
Yeah.
like that. Like it's
That was-
I could see it being a cheaper game, sure, but like I'm
Yeah.
thinking like $20, $30.
Yeah, exactly.
Less than 10 would be very surprising. So I have to assume that was an error, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. With Welcome Home being $10, there's no way they're selling that for cheaper.
And it's worth every penny. Maybe.
Is it?
I need to finish my video on that. It's a whole thing.
I will look out for that because that will sell me later on, or not sell me depending on what you say. Okay, yeah, that's exciting. Exciting news.
Now we're gonna get into what we've been playing this week. Dallah, what you been playing?
What have I been playing? So I've been 2025 was supposed to be my year of Atelier. We are now 6 months into this year, and I'm finally getting to it. So I'm playing Atelier Yumia.
Okay.
My first Atelier game. So I figured I'd try it out. I know like Emily has played a lot of them, and I think Brandon also played and reviewed Yumia as well. So I was like, all right, I'll dabble in this one. This one looks fun. And so far, I'm like 25, 24 hours into it, and it's a lot of fun. The stakes are low in the game. It's just kind of just a relaxing game to play at night when you want to just decompress. So I've been enjoying that game a lot. And then also still wading my way through getting through Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's
Yes.
it's taken me a while to get through that game. But one day I'll beat it. Outside of that, I've not I was traveling for went down to Tennessee for the last 8 days before this. And so I didn't really play a lot of games. Kind of took a little break, I guess. So I got to get back into it. So yeah, nothing too crazy on my side.
Yeah, Atelier Yumia, it was fun. I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 type game.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything particularly fantastic, doesn't do anything particularly bad. I'm not a big management sim crafting guy.
Yeah.
So the synthesis stuff is very much whatever for me.
Me too.
But I enjoy the story, I enjoy the characters. It was funny because one of the characters immediately I recognized was the Japanese voice of Kiryu Kazuma.
Oh.
And and so I was just like, "That's Kiryu." So that was really
That's
funny.
cool.
But I still never finished it, but I played a very significant amount of that game. I would say
Yeah.
I probably, if I mainline that game, I probably have 5 hours left.
Okay. Yeah.
But the exploring's cool. The combat is interesting. I wish it developed a bit more over time, but still cool. I don't know if you saw, but there's another Atelier game coming out later this year.
Yeah, I did see
And I had
that.
no idea about it until I saw oh, okay, there's a new Atelier game.
Yeah.
Um,
In
I
the
don't-
same
yeah,
universe
I don't
as
know
the
much about
Gacha
it.
title. So I'm
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
I'm hopefully, I don't think it has any gacha mechanics in it, hopefully.
No.
It does have
Okay, good.
cameos from other characters in a similar way in universe. So it's oh, you can summon
Yeah.
whatever this character from that. So I don't know if maybe there might be a single player gacha approach to it, kind of Xenoblade, or there's been a couple games where it's they do an offline version.
Yeah.
And there's a way to get characters, but it's not spending real money.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
could maybe see something like that, but from all accounts, this is not a gacha title. It's just in the same universe as. So
Okay,
we'll
that's
see.
good. I hopefully if my experience with Yumiya is well enough, maybe I'll dive into that as well. So I still have to. They're enjoyable. I like the thing about Yumiya is that the crafting you can auto craft.
Mm.
So all the tedious stuff I
Yes.
usually don't like to do because I'm like sitting there going like I don't know what to do with all this stuff.
100%.
I've like all these things that I need to like either you can throw together and I'm just like I'm just gonna hit best quality and
Yeah,
just
the
see where that takes me.
Atelier is a series that I've tried to start multiple times with different entries. Like I gave Ryza a
Yeah.
shot, I gave Meruru a shot back in the day. I think Verona as well, and every time I'm just like, yeah, like I see it, but I just the craft like like I'll do like the opening mission. And it's like, oh yeah, this is pretty fun,
Yeah.
and then it's like, all right, time to go back to your base and learn the entire crafting structure. And I'm like, I don't want to do
Don't want
this.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, this year was supposed to be the year of Final Fantasy for me, where like I've played like most Final Fantasies, but I haven't finished most of them. And so I
Okay.
was just like, okay, I'm gonna do a series playthrough. I played the first two and I got through them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then like I've just been so fucking busy that I just like have not had the time to go back to three. And now there's just so many like this year JRPG wise, we're just getting the shit beat out of us.
Yeah.
There's so many good
Yeah.
JRPGs that have come out. So I don't know when I'm gonna get back to it, but I very much would like to.
Which actually, that's a great segue into what I've been playing.
Oh, okay. What
Yeah,
you
I'm
been
gonna
playing?
cut you off. I'm sorry. Well, so look, as we've talked about a few times on the pod, we have a little problem that's called Final Fantasy MTG, and one of the things that this whole collaboration has done to me is give me a great urge to like replay as many mainline as I can, which obviously there is no time for. So,
No.
despite the fact that this is still a terrible idea, I did end up diving into Final Fantasy II, which was the most recent one you've completed, because I was like, okay, like I didn't check out the pixel remaster for that one yet. Two is one that like I was always kind of middling on, so like let's give it another real push on this one, because I remember you really enjoyed your time with it.
Yo,
And
if
look,
Final Fantasy 2 had a Final Fantasy 7 remake treatment, people would love that game.
Look, I have to admit, you absolutely did play the best version of 2. Because like pixel remasters, I think in general, there's a lot of like, oh, like yeah, it's cool that this works this way or they did this, but I don't really like the pixel art as much, or I don't like how they handled this thing. I think out of all of them, 2 is the one where it's like, oh no, you should just play the pixel remaster. This is the one.
Yeah.
If just because the adjustments to the leveling system, it is so much smoother. Like I was immediately having flashbacks of playing like FF Origins and how dealing with like trying to grind in that one, which was still better than the original like Japanese release. It's just such a better leveling curve that you can make even easier, and you don't really need to. Like I haven't done much intentional grinding, and I'm plenty strong right now. But it allows you to focus on. It just makes the pacing so much better. You can really just focus on going to the dungeon, making your way to the bottom. Maybe you have to run out to like heal up if need be, but way better where you're not just like, okay, hold on, I need to get to a combat and punch my own characters in the face to get their HP up. Like, it's just such a better leveling experience that allows you to focus on like what good the game does have. And one thing I like they do with this one, because one of my problems with the Pixel remaster of 1, and like I get it, but I also don't like it that much, is they reverted the character designs to looking more like their NES counterparts instead of using the designs they used for like GBA and PSP. Whereas 2, they did go with the later redesigns because they line up more with the old Amano art, and I think they look great. Like honestly, as far as like the pixel aesthetics go for different characters, I think the 2 sprites are probably some of the best results of pixel remaster, all of them. Because like 6, they look fine, but I do think they're a downgrade compared to like the SNES look. Same for 4. 2 though, I think they look awesome. I think out of any pixel remaster in terms of like glow up, 2 is the one.
They did wonders with 2. 2 is just so rough. Like it's such a rough Final Fantasy just mechanically that it made it really hard for people to really recommend that game. But yeah, I agree with that. The pixel remaster just made that game like playable at this point where you don't want to go through the hell.
and the story is genuinely good. Like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the
Yeah,
story.
yeah. No, and
And
you
that's
can
the thing. It like, and there's like a lot of really cool like events that happen throughout that game.
yeah.
And
yeah,
it's just like yeah, because like one of those things. Like I knew that 2 was really just like because of the leveling system. Like
Yeah.
I totally knew that going into this, but I'm also just like, y'all, this game fucking rules. Like this game's really good, and I just wish that more people would play this version of it and be like, oh no, this actually is really cool. And I think that if there was a remake, you know, a proper 3D remake, I think people would really dig it. I don't
There's
know.
yep.
no, absolutely, and like you can see, like especially it having played so much of the rest of the franchise, like you can really see how 2 is a lot of the building blocks of what led into 4. Because like 3
Yep.
kind of reverts a little bit, right? Like 3 is very much like,
It
okay, we're
does.
doing the nameless heroes again. You're out to get the crystals, and you need to
It
defeat
feels
the
like a
bad
sequel
guy.
to 1.
Very much so. Yeah, it's like what if we did 1
Yeah.
again? And 5 kind of does that a little bit too. Whereas
Yeah.
2 is like, yeah, you get a little bit of like how powerful they are, but the enemy is like a person. It's not this chaos god or something. It's, oh no, the
Yeah.
evil emperor of this other place, and you're playing as this resistance movement. And like the party itself doesn't get a lot of characterization. Like it's very funny to me that in
Mm-hmm.
some ways Guy has the most personification just because he gets to have his weird speech pattern
Guy
and he
speaks
talks
beaver.
beavers. Yeah, dude speaks beaver. But while the party doesn't have a lot of characterization, a lot of the events they go through, and I mean, God,
Yeah.
I just finished up like going to the Coliseum and getting trapped there, and then having to escape while like rescuing the princess. Like that is so much more plot than was in the original game in 1.
Oh yeah.
And
And I feel like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, yeah, please.
No, because like it's interesting because I had like 2 development teams or like multiple development teams, and one of them was very focused on gameplay, and one was very focused on story. And
Yeah.
so like they shifted. So like 1, 3, 5 was the original, like was the one specific game, like you know team, and then 2, 4, 6 were heavy on story bits
Yeah.
and just being more narrative focused.
Yeah, you can really see that in the styles that
Yeah.
progressed with those 2, right? Like, I mean, there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
reason 1, 3, and 5 are the class-focused ones, and you really see how the class system evolved with
Exactly.
each entry. And then 2, 4, and 6 is like, okay, instead we're going for, you know, baked-in play styles for each character, but then there's a story we're telling. We're going to have party members join and leave. It's not just going to be like your main set of heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's seeing it through that lens and being able to appreciate it more now that the core combat is not nearly as grating. Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. I need to go back and play the pixel remaster version of 2.
Yeah.
I've played the first Final Fantasy on the pixel remasters, but I have not gone through all of them yet. I'm afraid to start that journey. Like you said, it is a journey. Because I keep telling myself every year, I'm like, I should play through all the Final Fantasy games again. It's been a long time since I played like all of them minus 7. But that's a lot of time.
It's a thought that's always there, and it's a problem when, especially in my case, where I also need to start and play through Trails. So that's on my mind. And then all the
Yeah.
rest of the regular backlog on top of that. It's, yeah, as Cam said earlier, the backlog's just always going to be there. There's no,
Yeah.
It's just there.
There's no end to this. We're always going to
No.
have that game where you're ashamed to admit you haven't played it yet, because what is time?
Yep.
100%.
But I'm very glad that you are playing Final Fantasy 2 and you're being like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm almost done. I mean, it's a shorter game. What is it, like 10 hours, 12 hours, maybe?
Yeah,
if
something
that?
like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm like 7 hours in, and I'm getting there. So
Are you playing that on your Switch?
yeah, on the Switch. Yeah, I'm using the amazing new power of the Switch 2 to play Final Fantasy 2.
But oh, it feels so good though in my hands. I love it. Anyway. Yeah, speaking of the Switch 2, I've been playing Pokemon Violet. And
Oh yeah.
I
How is that?
it's so good, Dallah. It's so like so some more lore here. Since Hoenn, Pokemon hasn't really been the same for me. Like
Yeah.
I know I don't think Sinnoh is bad. It just didn't hit for me like it did for many other people. I think Unova is a terrible generation of Pokemon, but I think that Black and White 2
Yeah.
is one of the best Pokemon games ever. And then like 6 and 7 were very whatever for me. And then I did enjoy Sword and Shield quite a bit. I still had some issues with it, but anyway. This
Yeah.
is easily my favorite Pokemon game since Black and White 2. Like easily. And
Wow.
I'm still very early. Like I've played like I probably put in like 5 to 6 hours, but
Mhm.
I've just been using a lot of that time just running around and exploring. Like this is the game that I kind of was hoping Arceus Legends would be.
Mm. Okay.
Um, and I think that and you know when the game came out, and people were like, "Oh, this is like technically rough, like it's worse than Arceus Legends," and I thought Arceus Legends was pretty bad. I was like, "Okay, I'm just not gonna play it until they update it, and if they don't update it, then I'm probably never gonna play it." Even though
Yeah.
I had friends that are just like, "Yo, like I know that there are issues here, but if you get through it, like there's some really good stuff in here," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna do it." And so when the Switch 2 update happened, I was just like, "Bet this is like one of the first things I'm gonna boot up because I've been wanting to play this
Mhm.
for a while." And it's just it's one of those things, and this might be a crazy thing for me to say, but even though you know Gen 2 till I die, I got that shit tatted on me. um I am jealous of the kids that will play this like you know specifically the Nintendo Switch 2 version of this
Right.
game
Yeah.
being their first Pokemon game. Like
Okay.
they're
Okay.
like the just like the sense of exploration, and like you know there's still some issues, right? Like environments look pretty flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um the
The texture
it
details are
you know
quite poor.
there's not a whole lot going around the actual world in and of itself. It's just more like, oh, you get to this place and then you press A and then there's a loading screen and then you
Yeah.
do this. It's not like
Mm.
as intuitive as it could be, but I also don't think it needs to be. Like I just don't think that's what Pokemon needs to be. I think that like the combat, like you know, the battles like feel more present, more intense, which I really
Mhm.
like. I like how you can just like send out your Pokemon to fight like a horde of like you know I'll send out my Quaxley to fight a horde of like Fletchling, and
Yeah.
then he'll just like you get less XP than if you went into a normal battle, but
Mhm.
it's just like ways to get additional XP along the way, if that makes sense,
Okay. Yeah.
and of your travels. Um, and I'm just really digging this game. It's really checking all the boxes for me.
Mhm.
Um I'm still not like crazy about the starters overall. I
Yeah.
know people really like Coco and like he's a cutie. But you know, I'm not super crazy about the starters.
Yeah.
I did pick Quaxley. And then the you know, in this game you can go to the gyms kind of in any order you'd like to, but there's
Mhm.
no like scaling.
Yeah.
So like you still should there's still a specific
An
order
Yeah.
order
you
you
should
should
pretty
do.
much
Yeah.
do these gyms.
Unless you want to
Yeah.
steamroll
And
everything, which you kind of do
and one
anyways. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I don't like that they changed about the gyms is that like in when you get to a gym, you have to basically do this random challenge instead
Mhm.
of battling
yeah,
a bunch of trainers to get to the gym leader. It's like,
and a
oh,
lot of them are
okay,
not
that's
good. Like they're just kind of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like I did the bug
Roll
one.
this
It's like, oh,
thing. Yeah.
push this olive in the basket. It's like, what the fuck? But
Oh.
yeah, it's really cool.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not super crazy about any of the kind of Pokemon battle mechanics that they introduce. Like, I'm not crazy about Mega Evolutions. I'm not crazy about Z
Yeah. I
Move.
never got into that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about any of that stuff. And terrestrializing is no different. Um, but it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I it feels like I got so much more game left in the sense of like, yeah, I'm still early on, but also like I want to take my time. I want to like
Yeah.
explore and like find different things and like I've you know because there are certain Pokemon that are like rarer than others. So it's just like, oh, there's like a
Mm.
Happiny on the map. I'm like, oh, I know Happiny normally in traditional Pokemon games like add like a 5% chance that you would run into one.
Yeah.
So I was just like running around just waiting for this Happiny to show up. Like I want this Happiny. Like that like those are the kind of things that like I was really enjoying. Also the Pokedex is really cool. The Pokedex is each entry is a book. So like when
Okay.
you catch a Pokemon, it'll like this blank book will come up and it'll just like shoo, and then it'll have like a cover of the Pokemon, and then it'll
Mm-hmm.
put it on a shelf like a library.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Yep.
Like
that is
the
cool.
present. I think it's the presentation. The presentation
Yeah.
of this game
Yeah.
just makes it feel so much better.
Well, and now that the presentation doesn't have like huge frame drops or like stutters suddenly, like that's the thing, right? Like that stuff was there, but it didn't really. You weren't able to appreciate it before, which
Yeah,
now
exactly.
comes through so much more cleanly. Yeah.
Yeah, like it makes a lot of difference because I tried playing that on the Switch like way back, and it was, man.
It's rough.
I,
Yeah.
I just like it took me out. It took me out so much because it was just
Go back.
Yeah.
Now's
yeah.
the time.
No, I'm planning
It
on.
is so good.
I'm just gonna straight up restart, especially because the way save transfers work for Pokemon is just I'm not gonna deal with it. And I think I finished 4 or 5 gyms in the original release, and I do want to like replay
Yeah.
it. I can say I was not as hot on the original release as you're currently feeling, for more reasons than just the performance stuff. But maybe a lot of the bad was also getting amplified because of my frustration with the performance, you know. So
Yeah.
I do want to give it another shot at some point. You know, I have started playing it as part of just all the stuff I've been doing with Switch 2, but I'm not like really doing the heavy push yet.
There's like one thing I just want to be annoyed with Nintendo and game and how how the structure of saves
Oh, yeah.
for this game is, because you can't go in there and restart. You can't just create a new save or restart a save. You you have to go into your cloud saves
Yep.
on your Switch, delete it off of there, and then go back in. Like that is the most counterintuitive way.
It's-
Like how is a kid supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Like if they wanted to start over again.
It's a lot of over preparation because they don't want people to have a method of duplicating is really what it comes down to. They don't want people to have a way to like back up and then reload a save to like, aha, I now have 2 of these rare nature things and I'm going to seed them to my friends.
Oh my God.
It's entirely to prevent duping. That's even why cloud saves weren't even an option for the longest time, because they were like, oh no,
Yeah.
if we allowed cloud saves, then you could like do something and then reload the old cloud save. And it's like, no, just let. It's not that big of a deal.
No,
It's not that deep, y'all.
Seriously, it literally isn't that deep. Like they need to calm down. Like, who cares? It's a game designed specifically. Let's be honest, for children
Yes.
to play.
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
Yeah,
us adults
100%.
are playing that,
Hey,
but like
I can watch a
they
Disney
shouldn't.
movie. It's fine.
Yeah, like exactly. Like we enjoy things. I am as childish as they come, but like at the same time, like they're thinking too hard about this. Like it doesn't matter. Just like let people have fun and don't try to like over micromanage everything. It's nobody. That takes away the fun from everything.
Now we're gonna go into our topic of the show this week.
Yeah. One real quick addendum to something we talked about earlier, because this actually did come
Yes.
out. Dragon Strive does now have a price on the official Nintendo site, and it is $20.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured it would be price wise.
That's
Yeah,
that's about right for a game like that.
yeah,
Cool.
and digital only. I forget if we said that earlier, but
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a physical for that.
there is not.
Yeah.
So before we get into the topic that Dallah brought to us, Dallah, talk to us more about yourself, how you got
Yes.
into, your experience, your childhood with gaming, and whatever got you into games,
Yeah.
things like that.
Drop a whole biography right now.
Drop all the lore, the
The
streamlined
lore, the doll lore. Okay, so it all started when I was born. No, I'm just kidding. So my love of gaming probably started when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 5 years old. I was, my dad brought home an NES from Funkoland with Super Mario. So right away, I remember hooking it up we had like one of those old tube TVs that had the knobs. So like you as the child was the remote control for your parents, because it'd be like, oh, go change the channel for me, because you had to get up and actually move the knob. But I remember just like the fond memories of like playing NES, and I remember like getting Legend of Zelda. I remember specifically I had like a loose tooth, and I had a tooth coming in under that. This one wasn't coming out, so I went and got it pulled. And as instead of going, the typical person goes and gets their, gets $1 or whatever, 50 cents at the time from the Tooth Fairy for a tooth. I got taken to Funkoland to pick out a game, and Legend of Zelda just came out, so I got that. And ever since that's been history. It's been a spiraling addiction that I just deal with. I've got the old dart monkey on my back. But anyways, yeah, like I always played in it. I got into JRPGs probably, around the, in the NES phase. I did have Dragon Warrior. I did play Final Fantasy. I never quite beat them when I was younger. Not much. Once I got like older, I kind of came back to it, and I ended up being in those games. But that's when I first got into, like, let's say JRPGs. Well into the SNES era, where I played, like, Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 3, 2, which are 5 and 6. And then it just kept going. Like, I just, deep into RPGs, but I'm not all RPGs all the time, so I love all sorts of things, like, platformers, everything like that. So I have, like, a huge collection of things. Like, my whole setup is, like, this side of the room is, like, all the new stuff with this, like, OLED and everything like that. And then I have my retro area with my CRT TV. So my brain is, like, two ways. It kind of, I walk down into my basement, I'm like, which way am I going to go today? What am I going to play? But basically, always been playing games. I love, JRPGs is my passion, but I love all sorts of games. And then I got into content creation somehow in like the last like year or so, almost. So, like, I met Brandon, and him and I, befriended each other. And then one day, like, we went out to go get some Japanese food, and he just, like, as we were, like, saying bye, he, like, turned around. He's like, "Hey, Dallah." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Want to do a podcast?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Okay.
Sure.
And so, like, from there, we ended up, putting together the JRPG Pursuit with Emily. And then I did a spin-off my own channel, which is a little bit more loosey. It's like some JRPG, but I still talk about lots of other games that are interesting to me in general. And yeah, like, I mean, honestly, I've been enjoying it. It's a fun time. Like, it's interesting because for the longest time, you don't have anyone really talk to about this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I have way too many, like, periods of me talking way too much stuff about this at this
Right.
point. So, like, it went from, like, 0 to 60 of, like, me just, like, literally just sitting down playing by myself to now just, like, constantly talking about it and not playing enough games because of that. So, you get the good and the bad there. But yeah, like, I love, like, it's been a great time. I'm enjoying this content creation. I'm enjoying, hanging out, talking with Brandon and Emily, and being on here with you guys as well. And I'd loved having you guys on the podcast as well. But yeah, that's, like, basically kind of a nutshell. I don't want to get too.
That's fair.
That could spiral into, like, too many things. But so
Yeah.
just know I play games sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I do have one follow-up, just out of,
Yeah.
especially because, again, the focus everywhere is JRPGs. What would you say is, like, the series for you, as far as, like, oh, this is the thing that really activated my brain, and, like, because, like, obviously we can get into and appreciate a bunch of different franchises, but I feel like there's usually, like, the one that, like, you really fall into first, or is kind of your main one to point back to.
I feel like the first one that really drove me to play JRPGs especially was, I'm trying to think if it was Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 6. Because it was probably Chrono Trigger. That was the game that, like, I think just hit all the notes for me. Because I think I'm trying to remember if I played that first. But that just, it did everything for me. Like, it just solidified my love for the genre in itself. And then, along that, it was like the SNES era really just everything in the SNES era. Because, like, I, between playing Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy games on the SNES, and then also, like, I was dabbling in, like, emulation at the time, with, like, Windows 95 and things like that, like, really old school emulation.
Oh yeah, SNES 9X, let's go.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
ZSNES,
And ZNES, and then there was another one I forgot. It was but that's when I found Terra Enigma too, as well.
Yep.
And that, like, blew my mind. Like, Terra Enigma is probably one of my favorite, like, games growing up. which is weird because it didn't come out here, and like the fact that it's ingrained in my childhood
For sure.
because of how early I found it as a raw on an emulator and stuff like that. And so yeah, just it's such an incredible game that we're going to talk about like underrated things like that. That's a game. I don't know how underrated it is at this point because I feel like a lot of people talk about it enough in the gaming sphere.
Sure.
That it is as good as people say it is. But yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That was a tangent.
Yeah. No, but it's honestly like an interesting thing. The number of people that grew up at the right era where like fan translations, I think, honestly, like really helped ingrain a lot of additional love for the genre because there are some incredibly good games that we just never got. I mean, similarly Terranigma, but also for me stuff like what we now know as Trials of Mana, which for a while was just Seiken Densetsu 3.
Yeah.
Live Alive. Or Live Alive, whatever title you want to go with. That was one where, I lost my mind about that until we finally got it officially ported here a few years back.
I know.
There's a lot of those games from like the SNES era that didn't make their way here that people got to experience thanks to the work of fan translators. And, say what you will about the general scope of emulation, piracy, whatever. For those titles that you had no other option to experience, it was formative stuff back then. Absolutely.
I know. There's so many amazing people out there just doing God's work. Just bringing us these amazing like experiences that you're just like because like at the time like bringing some of these games to the US was just not like a thing. Like they either thought it was not going to stick. It had too many like maybe quote unquote like Japanese styled stuff that like they were just like they didn't want to translate it. They didn't think Americans were going to like it at the time. Right. Like you look back at like those like JRPGs and or anime like in that period of time. There's just like a lot of stuff that just didn't come out here for those reasons. And it was these fans who were doing like fan subtitles or fan translations and things like that that were like filling those gaps and giving us these experiences that we have to appreciate at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, I was also gonna say, how Brandon asked you about joining a podcast was very similar to how I asked Kevin. I was just like,
you ever
thought about starting a podcast?
I was like in the middle of playing something and I just got a phone call. It was just like, hey, you want to do a podcast? I was like, all right. It was a little more in depth than that, but that was basically what it boiled down. I was like, I've thought about doing one, so sure, let's do it.
But
y'all the show.
Y'all have been having some incredible success. So like obviously part of that definitely has to do with Brendan and Emily like having an already existing audience on YouTube, but still like y'all are absolutely killing it over there.
We're having fun with it. I mean, honestly, like we're just trying everything, and we're just we try to like make it so it's not like. We try to keep it loose. That way we're having fun and we're not, overcomplicating anything. And I hope that it comes off to everybody. And I hope that everyone feels that way where we're just kind of it's like friends just hanging out talking at this point. Like we just kind of pick topics that fit our mood for that period of time. And so, I mean, we love it. We've been keeping up with it. We haven't missed a week. I think we're coming up to almost our 50th episode. I think, which is wild.
Yeah. This is 26 for us, I believe.
Yes, this is not counting all of our bonus episodes and preview event stuff, whatever. Regular upload, we're at 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's not bad. Like, that's awesome. And
we're just we're slowly cranking up. We've gotten like an influx of subscribers recently, so that's been nice. But we're just gotta stay consistency. Consistency is key for sure.
That's the game.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, so you wanted us to talk about underrated, underappreciated JRPGs. We are starting to get into the realm of time, so for the sake of time, we'll each talk about one that we want to talk about.
Sure.
Kevin,
yeah.
You want to start us off?
Sure. Oh, geez, which one do I want to go with? So, I've had a few opportunities. There's a couple games I bring up a few times. I think I'll just real quick name drop like, Radiant Historia, I think, is incredible, and it is appreciated, but not enough people have played it.
Yes.
I would say, in a similar tangent, a big one for. Okay, here's what I'll go with. Here's the with a similar title, but not at all the same. PS2 Radiata Stories. Yay! And
Is that what you were going to talk about
did I
too?
snipe yours? I could change. I got a couple.
I have like a stack here that I was like, okay, depending on what was talked about, I will pull from this stack, and that was one of them. So like, you take it, take it.
No, I got same frame on this. Yeah. No, Radiata Stories.
There you go.
So for people that don't know this game, this was a Tri-Ace title that came out on the PS2. Tri-Ace is probably more popularly known for things like Star Ocean and Valkyrie Profile, the older ones. And it's certainly one of their more experimental games. This is one of those things where, like, I can understand a little bit why it doesn't always get talked about quite as much, because there's some stuff it does that's, like, fine. Like, the combat, sure, it's okay. The story, for the most part, is, like, solid. But one of the experimental things that it does that's so neat, especially for its time, is it has this in-game time clock where you'll go on whatever story missions and stuff you do, but between like story beats, you can just spend time in town and explore and do what you want. And all the NPCs are on a schedule that works within this time frame. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, at 9 a.m. I know this person's going to this. I know this is going to be happening in this place. And the way that you're able to recruit more characters to your party is like exploring the town and seeing what people are up to at different times and finding your opportunity to talk to them, and maybe you end up getting a little quest from one of them where they need help with something, and so you go do that. And so it has a pretty large roster of recruitable characters. One thing it does kind of divide them a little bit stylistically, where it's like, oh, you have your human party members and then your monster party members. The human party members are also divided into like what guild they're from. So there's people from like the Warriors Guild that are all very cliche, over the top, like, just muscled out people wearing heavy armor. But then there's like the church, where you get both the Healy priest type characters, but then also monks that are doing martial arts and stuff. Just a lot of like flavor oozing from the full cast, even if none of them get that much in-depth time or dedication. But being able to like assemble your party out of these people that you meet, there's also this weird sense of like scaling with some of them, because of the way combat works out, you only directly control your main character, and a lot of the people you can find and recruit early on are like, yeah, it's this other guy who's like, a novice over at the Warrior Guild. But if you take the time to recruit people, eventually it's like, oh, I literally have the guild master in my party now, and they are just laying waste to stuff. Yeah, it's a very neat game. I think it also, even though the story does stumble at some parts, I think it does a decent job of trying to tackle certain adult themes that you don't always see. There's this very heavy kind of like Civil War aspect that comes up where you end up having to pick a side eventually. And the way they handle choosing your side is terrible. Like, it's like the dumbest scene of the game that I hate so much. Okay, minor story territory. I don't know how much this bothers Dallah. It bothered me so much when I played the game. Is you have a major supporting character, and the major supporting character comes to you kind of in a crisis, but it's like, hey, like, I just need to disappear. I need to go do some stuff. Don't go looking for me, whatever, that kind of thing. And they leave. And the way they handle this, for which side you end up going with, is you either go help your friend, because you're like, oh, I need to see, like, no, like, I can't leave my friend hanging, I have to go. Or you can just, like, shrug it off and be like, whatever. And it's even worse, because the way you shrug it off is, like, literally the main character's like, women, they be that way. Anyways, I'm gonna go to bed. It's like the dumbest. It's such a bizarre split point. Like there's a lot I love about this game, but that specific thing, like, I hate when games give you interesting plot branching, but the tone of one of the branches is just so dumb initially that it's like, why?
Yeah.
And that was one of my biggest hangups with it.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Radiata Stories. It's a double-edged sword, because the comedy in this game is it wears the comedy on its sleeves. Throwing that up, like, there's all these little sequences. It's like, it really plays to like situational body comedy and things like that. Like, it's just so big into that, but it's also to its detriment, where like it cuts tension in the kind of the worst ways sometimes.
100%.
So like, it's a give and take there. Like, it's not perfect. The story does stumble, like you said, like, definitely from, the tonal ways of it drifts into these things. And I 100% agree with you. That scene is just just the worst. Like,
Yeah.
they could have handled that way better than that. But I don't know if that's a product of the translation or that's a product of the game itself. I'm not too sure.
True. That's not something I've looked into. That's a very fair read, actually.
Yeah.
That I didn't think of. It's because I played it back when it was still like newish, and that thought wouldn't even have occurred to me back then. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, now it just like came to me at this moment when I was thinking about it. It's like putting words in my mouth, and I was like, oh wait, like I wonder if that's the case. But so I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see how the Japanese sounds, or what the actual like language they use in that scene, the tone and everything. But yeah, like it's definitely that this game is a lot of fun. I wholeheartedly agree, and it's the best thing about it is that if you do have a PS2, that is also hard in this day and age to play on your PS2 on modern televisions. But if you do have one and you do want to get it, it is relatively cheap. It's like between $30-$40.
Yeah.
So it's
for
like
JRPG, it's not bad at all.
Exactly. So like it is not only is it underrated, but it's very much affordable in terms of games that if you want to add to your collection of your PS2 JRPGs, it's not a hard one to jump on, and it's more or less easy to grab. You'll find it at most conventions or on eBay and stuff like that. So I love the game. It's right up there as one of my favorites. And it's truly underrated because it came out at the end of the life cycle. So no one really, like, between that and like at the same time, was it Rogue Galaxy came out at the same like around the same period of time, and nobody really talks about that as often. But that's at least that's on the PS5. And PS4, the digital source. So like, yeah, love that game. Radia Stories, wonderful. And you can the fact that you can recruit literally almost everybody.
Pretty much. Like
game.
Every major named NPC you run into is someone that can turn into a party member. Sometimes how you do that is a little esoteric. This is one of those games where I will say, like, don't be ashamed of using a guide if you want to play it and not like
you have to
break your head open on a wall figuring out how to recruit certain people, because some of them are very tight windows or like require you to like have done something else that's very esoteric. It's a little all over the place in that respect. I would not shame anyone for using a guide on this particular game. Tri-Ace is kind of guilty of that. Like the original Valkyrie profile, anyone who figured that out organically without a guide to get the best ending, like kudos to you, man. That is not a thing that would occur to most people.
If you look at Star Ocean 2, with all the different branching like endings that you can get in that game, and all the expectations of like going to try to find out when you're going to get like a character moment, they're all like in the original, like in the remake they did a much better job of that. But the original game, it was just like, you just stumbled upon those things if you didn't know. Like you barely experience everything in the game has to offer if you just try to do it blindly.
Which is
Tri-Ace was
yeah. And there are some scenes in 2 that are like very bizarre if you accidentally stumble into them. It's like, what do you mean I'm being cheated on? What's happening?
Exactly. So it's definitely like, don't be ashamed. Like most Tri-Ace games, I will use a guide for, because I don't want to try to have to figure out what's going on sometimes. Too wild there.
So for my underrated or underappreciated JRPG, I wanted to talk about Star Renegades.
On the Switch too, even. Just
on my Switch too. I got the box here too. Star Renegades. This is an indie game that came out.
Yeah.
It came out the year Hades came out. That's all I know, because I remember that I was like, yo, this is actually really good roguelike too, but no one cared because Hades.
Right. 2020 would be
2020. Okay.
2020. Okay.
And so it came out in 2020, and it's a turn-based combat roguelike. And it's hard to say because it's because of how well it works in the design of the game, but this might have like my favorite, or one of my favorites at least, turn-based combat systems ever. And so basically what the premise of the game is that there is this empire basically called the Imperium, and they basically are going reality to reality and taking over, wiping out everything. And so in the beginning of the game, you are, you're doing like you're preparing for the last stand. You're preparing to try and take them down. And obviously you lose. And then there's this little robot called Justin, J5T-1N, that is able to travel to different realities. So basically, every run, Justin is going to a new reality of the same characters, but they're designed like slightly different
Oh.
to try and stop them. But you like kind of keep the, you keep the upgrades that you've had over time because Robot is able to do that, I guess. And the combat's really cool because they design it where, so it's turn-based combat. You have each you and the enemies both follow like the same rules of sorts, where you have a front row, you have a back row, and you have the same systems. And each round is 60 seconds. And why the 60 seconds matters is because depending on what abilities you use, you push back that enemy's turn by this many seconds. So if you push it far enough back, they don't even get to do anything in the next in that current round. You push them back into the next round.
Interesting.
It's
That is
really
cool.
it's really good. And it's cool because it's not exactly equal footing with the enemies. Like to make the system work, which enemy is attacking which party member. So, you know that you can defend because basically each character, including the bad guys, have shields, armor, and health. So you can't affect anyone's armor unless you have their shields down. You can't affect their health unless you have like some sort of piercing ability, unless you take out their armor. And so it's kind of like this. It's really great like puzzle combat system.
Yeah.
Where and there's like on top of that there's like light attacks, heavy attacks, normal attacks. Like there's all these different type of attacks that enemies can be weak against. And on top of the combat, which is so good, you have like camping like scenes where you form relationships and you better each other's relationships, and like depending on when you get to certain relationship points, you basically get dual team up attacks, kind of like in Chrono Trigger, but it's turn based.
Okay.
Well, more traditional turn based.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so good. It's so good, and the writing is really good as well. And I think I've mentioned this to Kevin, but this is the last game that isn't from Warner Brothers that has the Nemesis system before they patented it. So it has the Nemesis system. So like if so like when you're at a planet, you're trying to take down someone that's on the Nemesis system, but if you die, then they get promoted and then someone else takes over. And the thing that makes it even more I really like about it is that like even more so than most roguelikes, it really encourages you to fail. It encourages you to like it encourages you because like you have a limited number of battles like before you get to whoever the boss is at this planet, because you go from like planet to planet to do stuff. And so you don't have to like clear out the entire Nemesis system as far as I'm aware to beat the game. But it still is like one of those things where you have your certain upgrades when you get to a new run. You have a limited amount of fights before you get to the end. So every fight really matters. Like every fight, it's not like just like, oh, I'm doing my own thing until I get to this boss. It's like, no, you got to make every fight feel like it is the last fight. Because it's really good, guys. It's so good.
I've heard you talk about it before, but I think this is the most in depth that
yes,
I've
100%.
Look at it. I am curious about like, because I know you're mentioning like the camp scenes and stuff. Like, how well does the narrative through line work when Justin's the only actual like maintained character, right? Because yes, you're meeting the same characters over and over again, but it is different versions of them, right? So like, how does
they are basically the same.
Okay.
For the sake of the logic,
Sure.
they're basically the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Because the at least the 3 party members that you start out with,
Mm-hmm.
they're always there. Like you will be able
Okay.
to recruit other people down the line, but at least with like the main 3, like those are of which you are consistently starting out with. I haven't finished the game myself, and that's really only due to the fact that I just haven't taken the time to do so. But like, it is definitely the number one game I should take the time to finish. It's so good.
Interesting.
And then there's also I forgot. I tried to like restart a playthrough and get far enough to talk about every little thing, but I know that there's also like a card system in play where like when you get a certain like relationship up, I think it's like you choose a card and it gives you like a permanent stat boost or like a new ability or something like that. I really forgot, but it is a really, really good game. And I think it was my number 3 for 2020 because it was like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Spiritfarer, and then it was Star Renegades for me. Like, and I was at DualShockers at the time, and I was trying to tell everybody, like, guys, y'all need to play Star Renegades. This shit is so good. It's really incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I've always seen it like, I've seen it around. I've seen people I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but I've seen like the game around and I know it exists. And I've never known too much about it, but I mean, I'm sold on the way you described it. I think the idea of like, just the way this game, I like the sound of the battle system. Sounds fun. Sounds strategic and like, compelling in that way. At the same time, the Nemesis system is a fun system. So the fact that they were able, like, they're usually using that in indie RPG is actually I've never heard of. I didn't know that. So that's actually really cool because I really loved the Lord of the Rings, the Shadow of Mordor games. Like those games are really good in the Nemesis system and they're just fun. So
and then Nemesis system got patented, and as far as we know, is just gonna be unused now with the way WB is. So that's great.
Yeah, and
so unfortunate.
Brian Heemskirk is the art director, or art guy for this game, and he is the one who did our podcast art. So that's how I like knew to reach out to him, because I was just like, nah, this dude has this art style is so fucking good, and it looks so good when you play it. The animations are so good. Like I'm telling you, like everything about this game is so premium, and I just feel like it just didn't get the exposure that I really needed to do. Part of that was just because it was turn-based, but also because like, the studio is like freshly new. I think they'd made like one game previously before this, but this was like their first really real big game. The dev is working on Farah, the Sundered Tribes right now. If you've heard of that, it's very much like a Breath of the Wild-esque type game. But they that's like the current game they're working on. And they wanted to do more with this game, but it just didn't get the support that it needed, so they just had to kind of move on to the next thing, sadly. But they said that, if future games find more success, they want to return to this. And so I really hope they do, because this game is really incredible. Again, it's like $25 on the eShop. I think even cheaper if you want a physical copy on Amazon. Like it's really something special.
Yeah. I did look it up.
You're right. This art
is
so nice.
No, the pixel aesthetic is really nice. I did look it up. They did have one previous game that you can also grab called Halcyon 6 Lightspeed Edition. It is it looks like it has like some similar turn-based combat, but then it's also a strategy RPG mixed in. So there's strategy elements as well with like controlling an army.
Yeah, so you can get it on Switch or PlayStation 4 for $30 right now. So only $5 more for a physical copy. Yeah, it's great. And it's honestly, like when I booted it up last night, I was like, man, I really want to just play this now. It's so good. But yeah, so that's my game, Star Renegades.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Exactly.
Just play the game. I'm sure it's not very long too. Like, indie games
Well,
generally.
Oh no,
With
I
roguelikes.
think
respect your time.
I think it's a pretty
Usually.
meaty game for $25.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
It is also a roguelike, so I'm sure some of that is a little bit down to just like how fast
Oh,
you learn
yeah,
the
that's true.
system. And it's one of those
Yeah.
things where I
Yeah.
talk to people about certain roguelikes, and it's like, oh yeah, I cleared that, like 10 hours in, and someone else is like, I'm on hour 50. Like it just kind of depends on
Yeah.
how much you vibe the combat right away and solve it for yourself.
That's 100% true. It definitely depends on the combat itself. But that's a pretty good one. I mean, I might actually look into picking this up now.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad price for a physical,
No.
like, especially for an indie game where, like, who knows how many of those are actually out in circulation. Which, I mean, it makes sense since, as you said, it didn't really get the attention it probably deserved back then. So these copies have probably been sitting for a minute, and they just haven't needed a price raise yet.
No, exactly. So like for $30 for physical edition, and the physical look. I mean, the art on the physical looks real nice.
yeah. It's
I thought is
Really
very
great.
very good looking. Sweet. Okay. Well, I think for my pick, I'm gonna do something a little, I guess, topical because more recently there was a new trailer for the Digimon game coming out. But my underrated game is the previous one,
Cyber Sleuth.
Cyber Sleuth. What's that?
No, it's very funny you bring this up right now because we've been seeing. I'm sure Cam's seen this on his timeline as well.
a lot of my close industry friends have been trying to put each other on to Digimon, including me.
Yeah.
I've been watching the original show for the first time. I'm like on episode I don't know 10 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the show's fine so far, but I've heard very
Yeah.
good things about the Cyber Sleuth games.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people got to see Time Stranger and they said that it's really good. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'll try and see if I can get into Digimon, I guess.
Yeah, so like, and people like, I just can't shut up about this game. So like, I've done a video recently about Time Stranger and like leading up and talking about like, Cyber Sleuth games leading up into Time Stranger and stuff like that. And then I've also brought it up in at least one other video before that too. And I think I brought it up in one of our podcasts. But it's like one of those games that like for the longest time, nobody talked about it. It was like, I was a really big fan of it. And the cool thing about it is like, okay, so it's got like the same kind of, I think of it as Pokemon mixed with SMT, like,
Okay.
and in a digital like Digimon style world where you have like this SMT style of like battling, and then also like digivolving, de-digivolving. So you can basically like train and digivolve your Pokemon, your Digimon. And then you can de-digivolve them and then gain extra skills and then digivolve them again. So you can just like create these like crazy like builds
Interesting.
by doing this. But like the whole premise of the game is like, you're this person who has part of their consciousness now is split between the digital world and the physical world. And so you become like, you can basically drift in and out of both worlds. And you become like, you're just solving mysteries. So it's got this like, there's like this overarching mystery that you're like that is throughout the whole game. But then you're doing individual like kind of little things that you're doing and dealing with and solving as you go through this world and try to solve this overarching mystery. I'm trying to leave it vague enough that we don't get into anything, just in case everyone wants to go play it. But like, the one thing about this game is that, and I would say like my biggest pet peeve of this game is that it does suffer from that like those dungeons that just are randomly generated, very ugly dungeons.
Sure.
Which does make me really happy to see that like Time Stranger looks way more like meticulously created. Like it looks like the dungeons in that one, like they actually put thought into that, and it doesn't seem as randomly generated. So like that just means that they're taking this up a notch. But with this one, you get this pack right here, and you can get this on Amazon. Like it's on sale all the time for
$25.
Yeah, I think I picked it up for $25. So I have the PS4 version. So I've actually never played Hacker's Memory, which is the second addition to this, which is a spin-off. It's a game that takes place during the same timeline as Cyber Sleuth, but you play as more of a gray area character who's not part of like this cyber sleuthing business. He's more of like he's actually like involved in like I wouldn't say cyber terrorism, but more
He's
like
an ethical
hacking.
hacker.
Exactly, he's an ethical hacker in a way, and it kind of reminds me of like if you were to like look at Cyber Sleuth being Trails to like to Azure and from Zero versus Van in like Daybreak, where he plays kind of like that middle like area where it's gray. He kind of does things that could be good, could be considered not so good by certain people like bracers and whatnot. So it kind of fits that kind of like aesthetic or that style of gameplay, and which it's really cool because like you get different perspectives of certain events because it takes place in the exact same timeline. So like things are happening, and so you're kind of
so kind of like a Trails from Zero Cold Steel situation, huh?
Exactly. So
that sounds cool.
it's already cool in like that sense because like you play through Cyber Sleuth and you get this whole like perspective, and then you play this one, you're like, oh wait, that character, they were mentioned in Cyber Sleuth, but you didn't actually get to meet them because like they have nothing to do with like your core group, but you know what they're doing, and then you start to learn, like you get to meet these characters, you get to see them doing these things, and you're like, oh, that's how it all connects and things like that. So like it's such a interesting dynamic, and like they put so much effort into like the way they structured the game, and it looks really good, and just the gameplay mechanics are so much fun, and the fact that it's like it's such a cheap game to pick up right now, and leading up to like the hype of Time Stranger coming out, I think it's a perfect time for anyone to kind of pick it up and try it out, just to see like if they're Time Stranger I think takes a little bit of a different tone, not necessarily going to look into like the more, it's not going to be directly, I don't think it's going to be directly tied into this game specifically, since they're going to be dealing with what are they called, the Pantheon, like it's not Pantheon, what do they call it, something 12, something 13, they're like the godlike Digimon, like the pantheon of Digimon. So like, it gets deep into like the whole structure of that, and it in Time Stranger it takes place in like through different like time mechanics. So you're going back and forth in time and dealing with like alternate timelines and things like that. So it just seems like it's like Pokemon but for adults. So like basically SMT.
Right.
So it takes a lot of like the things that we love from Pokemon, gives it that SMT spin, and ties it in a nice Digimon bow. Because at the end of the day, we're just champions.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Cyber Sleuth for a very long time, but I didn't know the story was cooking like that.
Oh yeah.
I just wish I kind of cared about the IP a bit more.
Yeah.
But
it is tough to watch like the original adventure like now going back, because I think Digimon in general does try to like go across ages a little bit later on, but the initial one is definitely like, oh, this is definitely targeted at like kids. Like this,
like
the tone, like
children.
Yeah, like it has dark moments and it does have some serious stuff. Yeah, you see Garurumon like crucified at one point, but beyond that, it is definitely like, oh, this is very much aimed at like me when I was 12. At the old.
Yeah. Like watching the dubbed. I mean, I think I've only seen the dub. I don't think I've ever seen a subversion of the original series.
Yeah.
But like even like the way the kids speak and everything, like the language that they use, it's very much targeted towards kids. So it's definitely not a show like coming back at it in your 30s or whatnot. You're kind of just like, okay, like yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think it's hard to get into it,
especially if you don't have nostalgia for it.
Right,
it's going to be harder. Like if you didn't grow up watching it and trying to watch it as like a 30-some-year-old, you're going to be like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, because I enjoyed Adventure Try, because that one was definitely redone. Like that was made with the intent of okay, you grew up watching Adventure, so like we're targeting this now.
Yeah.
Like, you're an older person now, so we aged this with you.
That is
exactly.
That is what my friend told me. He said like, oh, season 3 will be like, you will enjoy a lot more. And I was just like, yeah, but this is the OG crew. Like, I want to I want to fuck with them. You know what I mean? Not
No,
literally.
no,
That's a problem. That's not,
Yeah.
not to be
Yeah.
clear. Well, you know, I want to go. I want to know their story.
Right. Well, and that's actually what Try is. So there is season 3,
Yeah.
but then there's Digimon Adventure Try, which is it only came out 3-4 years ago, I think. Maybe it's older than I'm remembering.
It's been I think it's been about like maybe 6 so years.
That long
maybe.
now? Oh, geez. What is
I th-
time since 2020? Um,
COVID kind of just made things weird.
yeah, that's true. But so Digimon Adventure Try is basically a sequel to the original cast. So it's like the original
Yes.
cast, but now they're all like, late teens,
Older.
early 20s. Like I think they have day jobs.
Yeah.
So, like it's them as adults, and so it's very much targeted. Like, okay, you did watch Adventure when you were a kid, so now we're gonna get you up to speed with these characters, and you're older too. So we're gonna make the
Exactly.
tone a little different. There's a little bit more, adult topics and such. Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, it's a lot darker. It's a very good. I really enjoyed that when it came out. I was like shocked they were doing that, and I think they're doing something else. I think I saw like a
They
trailer
remade
for.
the original season.
Oh, did they?
There was a
Yeah, they
remake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think there's something else coming out too. Like I just like I think it was like a week or two ago. I saw like a trailer for something that's coming soon that is like Digimon related. That is like it looked a bit more adultish, like just our age almost. Not like our age exactly, but like something that would appeal to us maybe.
Right.
Did you play Did you play Digimon Survive? How'd you feel about that?
I did not. I played a little bit of the beginning of that, and I didn't really go back to that because I don't know. I just like didn't catch me as much. I mean, I know it's like it's a very much a visual novel with tactical elements in that. Where like and it's fine. And like I think I'm more into digital more visual novels now after I'm finishing up AI Somnium.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's go, brother.
Hell yeah.
So good, so good. I love that game,
No,
and I already have number 2 waiting for me to start that up
Excellent.
as well, and leading up into the 3rd game. I'm pumped for that. But now I'm like a little bit like into that thing, so I might try to go back and like test the waters with Digimon Survive again and see if I like it a little bit more.
Yeah, if you have a little more tolerance for the visual novel aspect. I know it's tough because I know some people just have trouble when it's like, I'm just going to sit here and read text for how long? And it's a bit of a momentum thing where it's like, oh, I like the tactical combat though, but when do I get to that again? I mean, people complain about triangle strategy, and that's nowhere near the density of a visual novel, like text-wise.
Oh
So,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, with Digimon Survive, I know some people that like revere it, that are like that say like it's so good, and like we're really shocked because there's like some like horror-esque elements to that game. And then like I know some people that just didn't jive with it. Yeah, it seems pretty divisive, but if it hits for you, it's like it's really, really good. So
yeah.
I do also want to throw it real quick.
Oh yeah.
Once you finished up AI Somnium Files, if you
Yes.
haven't yet, definitely go back to Uchikoshi's earlier works with the Zero Escape games. At least playing the dual pack of 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, so good. Just excellent stuff. Like if you're digging Isomnium Files, you should absolutely check those out.
Okay, because I love his style so far. It's quirky. It's funny in the weirdest ways, and I love it.
Yeah.
No, and the storytelling is just wonderful.
And if there's any part of you that ever loves like weird urban legend type stuff or like, like pseudoscience, he just writes that kind of stuff constantly. There's so many weird like ghost story style things that just find their way into the plot, and it's so engaging. Like he definitely walks a very interesting balance because like, more recently he's been releasing stuff working alongside Kodaka with things like 100 Line, and I never really got into Kodaka as much. Like I understand why people like dig Danganronpa, but it didn't really click with me as much.
Same.
But Somnium Files and Virtue's Last Reward, so good.
Oh yeah, I did pick up 100 Line. It's sitting on my shelf at some point. I will play that, but it's like one of those games because I know there's like multiple way, like you can play it multiple times and it can go on for like 100 hours
It's
or
a
plus.
very long time investment.
So
It-
I'm not quite ready to,
Yeah.
to throw that in.
The game effectively you effectively play what you think is the full game, and like you feel like you have finished a game, and then it goes, all right,
Yeah.
congratulations, that was the prologue. And you're like, what do you mean? This was like 23 hours. Like, what do you mean there's more? But it's
The
great.
prologue, that's brutal.
Oh,
But
it's great,
I'm
though.
excited. I'm excited for that. I look forward to that because I've heard only good things about it from everyone I know who has been playing it. So I'm excited to jump into that. But I definitely will check out 999 and what was the other one?
Virtue's Last
Virtue's
Reward.
Last Reward.
Yeah,
Virtue's
you get,
Last- okay,
I
alright.
think it's in a dual pack that you can get on most
The
things now
non-Nari
called-
games.
Yeah, the Nonari games. Yeah, and then
The Nari games. Okay.
yeah, and then there's a third one that you can still get digitally and stuff. And the third one's like good. Like if you want to like
Zero
just
Dilemma. Zero Time Dilemma.
Zero Time Dilemma, yeah. Like if you want to just like finish the trilogy out, but like admittedly the series definitely peaks at Virtue's Last Reward. Like that's like the sweet spot of those three for sure.
Okay. I might be picking those up later today then, just to
Hell
have them.
yeah.
So when the time has come, I will play them. That is awesome. Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting into those. So I'm excited. But yeah, Digimon, check it out. Cam, I think you would like it. And I'm pretty sure Kevin, like you'll definitely like it. If you
I-
haven't played the first one.
I did have a question too about it actually. One of the things you brought up was being able to evolve and devolve to like mess with builds.
Yes.
So is there also
Yeah.
like branching directions they can evolve? So it's like, oh, I'm gonna try this evolution path and then never mind, rewind, I'm gonna go down this path now to like get these abilities. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, there are some Digimon that can do that. So you can kind of play around with like their paths or like even their paths, their skills and things like that, depending on where you want to go. Or if you want to bring a skill from a like a later path and bring it down and take it like a different way. And so like you can build these like elaborate builds that are just like you can put in so many hours just digivolving and digivolving Digimon constantly and just building this like beefy team. So it really kind of sinks you in all different ways, from the mechanics of the game to the story. I mean, the graphics are, a product of its time. It's not quite like this was a kind of like a budget, like AA
Sure.
styled game where I feel like Time Strangers feels more AAA, like in terms of like just the aesthetic. It looks really like
No, that
refined.
That initial trailer looked much more intensive than like what I had seen from trailers from the past ones. Like I didn't even
Exactly.
Honestly, like it took me a moment to even fully believe it was Digimon. Like the way it
I
opened
know.
up, and it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is Digimon, but this is like this looks
It's good.
this looks really clean in a way that they have not done in quite a while. So
I know. I'm shocked that they like put in that much, like, I guess funding or whatever they're doing to do that one, because like, yeah, they did not put as much into this one. So it's fine. But like I say, I'd rather have a lot of really good AA games than,
yes.
one AAA game that I'll get to play and then wait like another 4 years, 5 years, 6 years at most. So I feel like we're in an era where we need more AA fun games that just come out and we can enjoy.
100%. That's a whole other topic that I'm not sure if we've actually officially done that as a topic yet, but it is a thing we've touched on a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
especially given the
It's-
current state of the industry. So
exactly. And that's where, and I think most of these companies need to start thinking about. So, but that's a huge topic in itself. That's a whole episode.
Yeah.
You can really dive deep into.
Not trying to change or go on a tangent, I guess. But like, we went over the topic, but we still have some time to talk. So I wanna
yeah, for sure.
I want to talk while we can. I have a question for you. Like, what got you into Trails? I don't know if we talked
Oh.
about this. Was this Brandon? Did Brandon influence you to get on it, or like how long have you been on the Trails train?
It was definitely before Brandon. So like
Okay, so you knew about it before. Okay.
Yeah, so I had a friend, probably like now that's been like 7, 8 years ago. He like brought up Trails in the Sky. Like he just kind of, he was just like, hey, actually no, he first brought up Trails of Cold Steel, because he played Trails of Cold Steel 1, and he's like, I think you might like this. He's like, there's a bunch of games in this series. He's like, he only played Trails of Cold Steel 1. He didn't play anything else. So his willpower to just stop is incredible. Like, but
especially how that first game ends.
I know.
I told my friends that that I've played Trails, that if I played that game when it came out, I would have been furious.
Oh yeah,
furious at how that game ends, because it's just so abrupt. It's just like the most abrupt ending. It's like, all right, time to wait for Cold Steel 2. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't have to wait. I just booted it up. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so like he was telling me about it, and he was describing the series to me. I'm just like, that sounds interesting. I should check this out. And then I was like looking at it, and I kept deciding like, okay, I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, where do I start? Like I'm like every other person on the internet trying to figure out like where did they start with Trails. And so like that was my origin story of like, all right, I got to figure this out. And so like I like was looking at the thing, and I'm just like, you know what, I got to start from the beginning. And so like I ended up, I picked up on Steam Trails in the Sky, and I mean, I was just like, it took me, I have to admit, it took me like a couple of tries
really
to get in, to initially get myself like solidified in the series. Just because like, Trails in the Sky, I enjoyed it, like off the bat, but for some reason I kept like getting sidetracked and going off and doing another game, and then I'll come back to it because I kept wanting to come back to it, and I'm like I gotta play this. Yeah. But for some reason I kept just getting sidetracked. And then at some point, like after a year or two, I came back and I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? I just need to play these. And so I sat down and I like powered through, like I played Trails in the Sky 1, and I finished that, and then it was just history. Like I just like went straight into 2, because like 1 ends in such a incredible, like that cliffhanger is wild.
Yeah. No, every person I talk to is always just like, oh, once you finish 1, then it's just you're in. You're immediately diving into the second one. There is no time to wait. Like you just have to keep going. Yeah. Because I was just gonna say, like similar to you, I have yet to take the full plunge, and this is something that Cam and I've talked a few times about, and I will be adjusting this year. Should be, probably. Hopefully. But like I have like similar to what you were saying, like how you it took a few tries. Like I have started the game up a couple of times over the past like 5-6 years. Yeah. And it's always just like, it's good, but I think the very early parts of it are like just slow enough to where while you're enjoying the set building and all that kind of stuff, you're not quite truly hooked yet. I mean, I had the same problem with Yakuza. Like we talked about how 7 was the first one. Really, 7 was the first one I finished. I started 0 multiple times before then, and I just wasn't really, I didn't really fully vibe Kiryu, at least at the start of 0. I wasn't like fully bought into the setting or the concept just yet. And I got through his opening chapters a couple times. And so when I finally finished, I got hooked to 7. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to give 0 a proper, like a real push. And once it got to Majima's chapters is when like that game, I was just all in finally. And so I know that's going to happen to me for Trails. Is like, I'm going to give it the proper full try this year. And then to hell with everything else in my backlog, because I'm going to start this journey of playing through 800 hours of Trails or whatever it is total.
Way more than 800, baby. Way more than 800.
Last year was a wild year for me. So like last year I finished Cold Steel 4, Reverie, Daybreak. No wait, did I play 3? I don't remember. All I know is I played like I think 3 or 4 Trails games in a row. And that was a lot of Trails.
That's a lot of Trails.
It's a lot of Trails. I mean, granted, Brandon also like he just like replayed the whole thing in like one fell swoop, and like I was like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, no, like that's crazy
to replay it all.
Like when we get confirmation that like, oh, this game is the last game in the series, then I will replay. Then I will I will start from the beginning, and I'm gonna see everything through. But like I think at this point, the thing that's weird about that is that I think that the series is still like not as close to the end as people think. Even if Kondo says like, oh, it's like 70%, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, because it's already extended so much further than it was planned on being. But I will also say that like, I think that we're getting remakes of Liberl and Crossbell. I think so that too. All of those are gonna get full on remakes. That's 5 games like that'll probably take like, every 2 years to come out. Like that's another 10 years of like Trails. And so
And by the time those are done being remade, they can start remaking the other ones in an even further push art style.
I mean, Cold Steel 1 and 2 could definitely use a remake. Like I played those
need
a few years ago, and I was like, "Oof, this is rough."
Yeah. just to create like continuity between the style of 3 and 4, because like there's such a drastic like shift in technology between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Right.
It really like changes everything. So like
One and 2 were still PS3, right? They were PS3 initially, and they got 4 ports
PS3
later.
initially.
Yeah, PS3 initially. And man, but like, so you're like Kevin, you're probably gonna start with the remake.
No, he wants to play the original before the remake.
I did make this.
Okay.
I made this vow that I need to finish the original before the remake drops. So that timer is actually really ticking now.
Okay, so you have a little bit of time, but like you can get through the first.
Game's like 30 hours.
Yeah, they're not very long.
Yeah.
Once you get into the groove of it, you get through it pretty quickly. I would say definitely use a guide for Trails in the Sky. Just because there's a lot of missable things that you don't realize you're missing. That's like the one thing that I think they did better with the more recent Trails is that they make it easier to like keep track of what you need to do.
Sure.
But those early games, like there's a lot of hidden quests and things that you just like
for sure
that you'll never know.
Yeah.
100%.
And you'll miss out on some really good lore or like items and things like that.
Yeah.
So
no, flashes me back to the days of like the PS2 Tales games where it's like, here's optional things you can do, but the only way you can do it is by backtracking 3 cities in this specific time window, and there's zero indication of why you should do that.
No, exactly. And there's like everything is time locked in Trails, so like, once you get past a certain place, that's it. You can never go, like you can never experience those things again. So it's everything, like those quests are locked in the specific amount of time, and there's so many missable things. And I think that's what like I realized after the first 2 tries of like trying to play it without a guide. I was just like, what's going on? And then I played it with a guide, and I was like, oh, I missed so much. I was like, this is then I continued to play like the rest of this that especially that arc with the guy, because it's just a product of like that game came out on like the PSP.
Yep.
So like at that era of time, like they were more open to just hiding things.
Oh,
everywhere.
absolutely. I mean, as we said earlier with Tri-Ace, right? I mean, there are hidden weird things in those games where it's like I have no idea how anyone figured this out innately. I feel like a lot of that design too is a product of a time when there was less assumption people were buying as many games, right? It's sort of like you have this one game, you're probably going to replay this game 2 to 3 times because you're not going to pick another one up for a minute. And nowadays we're
so true.
I'm trying to get through multiple games in 1 month, like keeping up.
Yeah, I don't have time to sit there and like replay games like that. So like I want to get the most optimal experience off the bat. So that's why I'm just like, oh, you know what? I don't mind. And it's like that these days when you're like, do I play it on normal mode or do I drop it to easy if I'm hitting a moment that I can't get past and I just don't have enough time and I need to get through this because I've got to go to bed.
And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about this, because so we can talk about other things, especially because Kevin isn't well versed in Trails. But can you believe, especially because there's been some time since I was on JRPG Pursuit, can you believe how good that remake looks? Like
it looks gorgeous.
Like I was telling Kevin on the pod like last week or the week before or something that I think that Daybreak was a much needed rise in presentation quality in the gameplay and like in the combat and stuff. And then this just blows that out of the water. It looks so good. It looks better. I would argue it would look better than Beyond the Horizon does. In that specific aspect. And that, sorry, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm interrupting you.
No, it's just like yes, the game's technically out in Japan, so they probably, they finished that before this, but still like less than a year apart, and it's just that big of a difference is so impressive.
Yes, I just love because what they did with this one is like they give it such a they stylized that graphic, so it's almost like cell like it's not quite cell, but it's like very like almost anime-esque like shading
Sure.
to it, and so like it really fits the aesthetic of
Of
like
Liberl.
trails in the sky of Liberl. It makes you think of it's almost nostalgic looking.
Yeah.
Like even though like it's like how you envisioned Trails in the Sky was when you played it, like but in the reality of that of like getting it in full 3D, it's like you're in your mind's eye you thought of it as being this like, you know, beautiful like world that you're in, and you're looking at this, and like, it's like, and then you play this version, you're like, that's exactly how I pictured it in my head when I was playing this like old school version of it.
It gives like and I think we've used this word before, me and Kevin, but it gives like old school storybook
Yes.
vibes. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really great, because I think that, and you know, and part of it could just be because like, yo, Liberl was was my first arc, and it's my favorite arc still. But like, I think that Liberl just has such a unique sense of identity compared to the other uh
Yeah.
countries across Zemeria so far. Like, you know, Crossbell's like, oh yeah, it's the futuristic, like it's more futuristic, it's more modern. Like that's cool, but like that doesn't do anything really for me.
Yeah.
And I just think that, and you know, and like Erebonia is like a militarized empire, like cool, that's really all we got there. And then Calvert is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like it's a melting pot, right? It has a melting pot of cultures,
Yeah.
which is cool. But like when it comes to Edith, it's like, yeah, Edith is just like a giant city, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But like Liberl, it's just like every city just feels so different from one another, and these are all like pretty, like in the grand scheme of things, rural towns. Like they're not like
Yeah.
these big like a metropolis or anything like that. And it just, they're able to give it so much personality. And I think it's just because of like the kind of
Yeah.
things that you interact with and you engage with, both in and outside of the main story.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just, oh my gosh, it's so good.
There's something too about like I feel like there's a few JRPGs that have this tone where when they approach they can be like pseudo modern day level tech, but then there's still this very clear divide between like established large cities that have like centralized, and that's really where the tech exists, and then you'll still have like small towns that feel like they could have been just in like a straight up fantasy game. Like I always had that
Yeah.
thought with like FF7 growing up, right? Is that like Midgar is very tech heavy. It's straight up like almost cyberpunk, you know? And then you
Yeah.
go to like Calm and all these other little cities outside of it, and it's like this could be in just a straight up fantasy world. Like sure, there's like a old school little car over there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
There's something about
That's
the
so
way a
true.
lot of those JRPGs approach like small town countryside living and like really just dialing back all the tech there. Like
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so real.
it's interesting too, because like one of the criticisms I do have of Trails, I do have a few criticisms of Trails,
I don't
is
believe it.
that is the sense of like technology advancement. Because in the first arc, it's like the airships feel like, oh, this is like freshly new technology.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like Crossbell, it's like, oh, we have these cars. Like cars are a pretty new thing.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to Cold Steel, it just kind of feels like modern day across the board. Like there's just been such a jump in technology that it's just like,
Right.
oh, okay, we started like in this old cabin house, like in a rural Liberl, and now there's just like so much major technology everywhere. I wish that
Yeah.
they were able to take a little bit more time to like make that grow. But you know, because they talk about the orbital revolution, right?
Yeah.
And that it feels like you're basically just going through another one.
Yeah.
Like throughout the what 12 years of this story,
Yeah.
so far. Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that I like don't really love, but I understand that like when the developers are like, so much time has passed, right? From Trails in the Sky to now, that's like, yeah, we're gonna take the real life ideas and implement them into our games because it only kind of makes sense to do so.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a hyper like just I guess the way things have evolved across the board in their technology. But I think honestly, I think that's going to probably tie into late stage, like how this, like into the story. It's going to weave into that because I think there's going to be like some things that are going to be popping into the story that are going to be like the reason why, or where is this technology like originated? How did it like become? How did it like? Where did this boom come from, and how is it continuing to like evolve and everything like that? So I think it's going to tie into the late stage of the story, and so we'll probably like you're like we'll see how the take goes as we get to the closer end game, but I have a feeling it ties into like how the series is just evolving in general and the story we don't know yet.
It would be so interesting to me if, because we've kind of gone through a lot of like kind of narratives of orbital shutdown or orbital shutdown. And I'm kind of wondering, like, I wonder if like by the end of this series, like orbital technology just ceases to exist, or there's like some sort of like idea where there is a technical reset in technology, where like they're things are pushed back like 50 years because of some major phenomenon that happens in the main plot that we're not going to get into spoilers into. But because you're making a really good point, and it's making me recontextualize the entire series in real time. Like,
well, and that is
you're right.
That is a theme that comes up pretty heavily. I mean, obviously, I can't speak to Trail specifically, but within the work of a lot of JRPGs, there absolutely is that theme of like, forbidden tech with the wrong roots of where it comes from and how it's sourced. And at some point, there's that, escape from LA, New York moment where it's like, all right, hit the reset button, turn it all off.
Yeah, exactly.
And resets things. So that sounds like something that would absolutely happen in this style of game.
But yeah, I only say that because like now, like in the past 2 arcs, your phones are basically your orbments. Yeah. But in Liberl, you basically had like this sick pocket watch. It was it felt like its own thing, and I was just like, I loved it. I love the aesthetic of it. Like, did you get the Super Groupies pocket watch of the orbment, Dallah?
Oh, I did not.
Oh my god, I wanted that. So cool. But you got the replica that from Pinbox? No, Dallah.
Why are you rubbing it in on him right now, man?
I'm just asking. I guess I'm a question.
I wanted to get it, but it was like $300, and I just lost my job, and I was like, I shouldn't spend.
I get what you're saying,
but I did.
Do you have kids?
No. Yes. One.
Oh yeah, so you have more responsibilities than I do.
But like they are, I think, recreating the orbment. There's like, I think they've announced. I don't know if it's fully officially announced, but they like said.
Oh, they're going to do that on its own as its own thing.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. But yeah, because I really love the orbment. It's like one of my favorite. Like when we sat down and did the we designed the podcast star. We're like, okay, we got to get like an iconic thing from all these franchises, and I had to do the OG orbment for Trails. Yeah, you do. I was like, there's no way it could be anything else. So
it looks so good. I love that thing, and I definitely, if I can get my hands on it, I'm gonna try to get my hands on it. But yeah, it is a wonder. I love that thing so much.
Did you have any questions for us before we wrap things
up? Oh man. Trying to think.
No pressure.
No, not at all. I want to. I mean, like Kevin, you're a hardware man. Did you see the new VGA HD Retrovision wires?
I did not. I've been a little out of the loop the last like week or two. So in the Switch 2 mindset. What's going on there?
So the Retrovision wires just dropped. There are all these like different, like for all the old retro systems, they have VGA ports, like now cords for them, so you can either like go straight into a monitor, or even get a VGA splitter, which is probably a little easier than using SCART and things like that at this point in time.
Absolutely.
But he has like an assortment. I have to look through all of the ones that like he brought out, but I think assortment of almost all the retro systems that we need, probably. I'm not sure where Dreamcast is yet, but we'll see about that. I know that's been a point of contention across everybody's waiting for those Dreamcast wires. But
Yeah. No,
yeah, so
that's very interesting. I had not heard about that at all, but especially because I really what I primarily use these days for my CRT setup is actually an old Apple monitor. So I'm already dealing with
okay.
like, using a different kind of cable in order to adapt it over to VGA. So just having a straight up VGA option
yeah,
is nice, very nice.
that will be right up your alley then. So thankfully I brought that up.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, yeah,
I'm gonna look more into that.
I think they just dropped it like I think the other day. So hopefully there's still some in stock. But yeah,
If not, I'm
good
sure
stuff.
they'll eventually restock. It's just a
Yeah,
waiting game
exactly.
with those ones.
I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to look this up right now.
But so I guess that's less of a question and more of like a hey, what's a heads up?
Yeah, like,
Because I know like
have you looked at this?
because I know you like to do you have like a big in terms of retro setups and stuff like that.
Yeah, I need to get mine back up and running. I moved multiple times the last couple years, and like I want to get my retro setup like actually dialed in again. It's been a minute. I miss it.
Yeah, I still need to figure out some more better optimization for like I've been torn on whether I should buy whether they have it in stock, but the component what is it, not the G SCART but the G Comp. So it's like the automated it's like an automatic, it has like 8 component inputs and 2
Right.
outputs. And it just automates like whenever you turn on a system, it just goes straight to
Which
that
one
one.
to which one to detect? Nice.
Yeah, it's been out of stock for a bit, but it's usually like around like I think $350. So I'm just between that and the RetroTink 4K, I'm like,
That's been the one I've been weighing because I do have I have the I'm starting to forget because they've done so many different number iterations.
is it the 2X or the 5X? The 2
Why do I
something.
want to say? Wasn't there like a 7 or a 9 in there?
Is there? I don't remember.
Wait, Retro Tank.
I'm just here, everybody.
Yeah.
they're speaking a different. They're
Yeah.
speaking a
Oh
different
no,
language.
it's the 5X Pro that I have. Yeah, it's the 5X Pro that I have. So
Okay.
yeah, it's like it's that battle of that's enough, right? I don't really need the 4K. I definitely was going to do the original 4K launch, but the newer
one,
kind of
yeah.
scaled down one where it's still extremely expensive, but also more affordable. Speaking of ways of spending a lot of money to run your old retro games, honestly though, it's actually it's tough to swallow as a single purchase, but I actually do think it's a better value than trying to like outfit a good CRT setup at this point for most people. Like,
Yeah.
just be able to go like, look, just this is the one solution. Just have decent cables to plug into it, and you can use any system you want on like a modern TV. Like it's a good all-in-one solution, and not like, yeah, you're gonna buy this one extremely expensive option for one specific system.
Yeah, that's like the thing is, and I feel like with Mike Cheat, who's the creator of the Retro Tank, he's constantly upgrading it and adding features, and he's gotten to the point where like it's almost replicates the look of a CRT. If you're using
so
like,
close.
especially if you're using a really good OLED, like an LG,
Yep.
C1, C4, whatever you're gonna use at this point.
Yeah.
I think the C5 is coming out now, but like. They do such a good job with like just recreating the CRT scanline look, so that way you can actually just get by for the most part with it, because it just like he figure out ways to ingest HDR to brighten things up, so that way your scan lines look so good. Oh man, sorry.
Take the plunge, Cam.
No,
us hear.
you're good.
It's only
No, y'all-
It is only a $475 investment without shipping. Like, come on now.
Yes, it's not that bad. Plus the systems that
Is
you probably
it-
want,
is
and
it-
some
is it-
wires.
Is it the thing that like basically allows you to play like old consoles in HD? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, it's a very
Yes.
high quality upscaler. It is what
Yeah.
you plug your system into it, and then it gives you a couple different out options. You're most likely just going to use HDMI, and it allows your TV to actually understand what the hell signal is coming towards it. Because anyone that's tried hooking up, like if you use a cheap upscaler, like just like a off Amazon, $20 with Salute,
Yeah.
whatever, most of the time, if you have like a modern TV, it's not even going to push the signal. It's just going to be like, I don't know what the hell this is you're feeding into me. You might get sound, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
And like,
I want to get one of those eventually. But you know, I'm not in a rush to get
Yeah.
one. But I
Well-
want to get one for like my because I do want to once I have the ability to, I want to slowly but surely like build a GameCube library.
Mhm.
oh yeah,
And that's expensive
Because-
at this point. It's
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but like
pricey
a
one.
lot of the games have been ported at this point, so
yes.
it's really more for like it's honestly mainly for like a bunch of licensed games I loved when I was a kid, like the best sports game ever made, NBA Street Volume 2.
Those will be more affordable than getting your RPGs. So
Yeah.
it's true. Those are definitely affordable compared to some of these, especially if you're trying to forget for the
Sonic
Pokemon
Riders?
games.
Sonic Riders?
Yeah, get that in there.
Sonic Riders, you got to get your
Sonic-
Sonic Riders.
Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog.
All the
So
Good old Shadow.
The Gap one for me, because like I have a pretty decent collection of most retro stuff, a lot of stuff I grew up with, and the other ones I picked up later. The one that is a giant gap, and I am far too afraid to try and open this Pandora's box at this point, is Sega Saturn. Like
Oh boy,
like
no.
it
Yeah, I
is
can't do
just
that.
it is dark looking into the prices for like a working Saturn, and then just, especially like US releases of games. Christine is actually debating doing like a layaway setup with a local game store to pick up. They have the crap, what is that game called? What was that anime with the like the isekai anime from back in the day where it's the three girls?
Oh, magical Rayearth.
Magic Knight Rayearth. They have the Magic Knight
Magic
Rayearth
Knight,
for Saturn, which is extremely expensive in the US. And she's like, I might try to figure out getting this somehow.
See, the only part of me that really wants those is because I've always wanted to have all the working design games.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just can't justify.
It's like
plus it's over $1,000. It's like it's 1,500 or 1,600. I don't remember exactly how much.
I think I think the copy she was looking at wasn't quite as much because I think it wasn't like a pristine one. Like the box like has some damage and stuff. But like, yes, it is 4 digits that is hitting that territory. It
is very expensive.
Yeah,
and like the sad thing about Saturn is that a lot of their discs are prone to disc rot.
Yep.
Because of just the quality of discs. So like you can spend 4 digits on buying this game and then you never know. It could just die.
We're hitting a very scary point actually with a lot of physical where like disc rot is settling into a lot of stuff where even that argument of like, oh well, physical's better because you get to own it. Well, yes, but also it actually is not eternal either. They are not immortal. There are limitations there too. So
a lot of companies cheaped out in their period of time and didn't use discs that could stand time.
Well, there was no assumption
enough
people would care, right? I mean, that's the whole thing with development in general. When they announced the Tactics remaster, a friend of mine read the interview and he's like, "What do they mean they don't have the master like the source code anymore? How could they lose that?" I was like, "That was normal in the 90s. No one kept their source code back then. Are you kidding me? None of them thought that it was important to have that around in case they had to port the game to a system that came out 30 years later. No one thought that."
KH1 they lost the source code and Final Fantasy 8.
Yeah. 8
I feel like Square just made it a point. Like every time they finished a game, they were just like, "All right, let's throw everything in the pile and light it on fire. We don't need this stuff anymore."
Well, but there's so many examples of that. Even with looking at things like licensing rights, right? Like there are so many games that used licensed music in like the early 2000s, and then they had to get delisted, and some of them have kind of come back and with changed songs, and others are just lost because no one wanted to pay to renew any of that. Even like fairly recently, Xbox did that with I think it was like Horizon 4 or Horizon 3 for the Forza series.
Yeah, they
delisted
that
because all the songs in it were no longer licensed. So it's gone.
I know, and a lot of companies are falling, by the wayside. A lot of old school companies, so their IPs are just kind of lost in the ether, and
because
they're gone.
Who even has the rights to like revive something like that, right?
Yeah, because there's this one game, and it's by the development studio Monolith, not Monolith Soft, but Monolith. Under the Fox label back in the day.
Yeah.
and they have a one game for the computer that was called Sanity Aiken's Artifact, and it nobody knows about it, but it was like an isometric like art like type of like Diablo looking game.
Oh, I think I've seen this art before. Yeah.
Voiced the main character is voiced by Ice-T. And it is, and you can tell like the great thing about it, it's actually quite a fun game. It's a product of its time, but like
Sure.
the way they recorded the lines, it sounds like he's in the most echo induced room with the worst microphone, and it's just him yelling into this microphone. it's so funny. But I have like the big box version of it back, like I still have it, and it came with like the poster and everything. But it's funny because it's on GOG. It's not on GOG, but like they have it on the thing where like people can like upvote whether they request it, and so like there's like probably like there's like dozens of us out there.
Literally, we have the data to support it. Here's everyone that voted on GOG. It was
exactly
20.
Literally, it's the smallest amount of people. But I hope like it's like one of those games like there's never going to be an easy way to play that, because unless you're rocking Windows 98 PC with like a processor of the time, it's just not going to play.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Kevin, but I definitely forgot. Speaking of GOG, I definitely forgot when we were at the Capcom booth to be like, "Yo, thanks for Breath of Fire 4, homies. Please bring more back, please."
I'm trying to work with them more often so I can start sliding that into more higher ups. Yeah, just like, hey, by the way, like this is cool and all, but do you guys remember this game? We'll pretend 6 didn't happen. Just make a new 6. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
can you just take what you did with GOG and just make like a physical console version?
That door opening right there where oh god, the fact they did 4 before 3, I'm just like, okay, but then like do 3 also, and then maybe, because that was even a thing that happened with Alpha Protocol. Alpha Protocol got released on GOG and then it went to Steam later, and like it has begun to spread to other platforms. So it's like, can we do this here too?
I'm hoping we get that, because man, I need more Breath of Fire. And I've talked about this on the podcast, but like Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter is a game I want to revisit. Cause like at the time it was a hated game.
Yes.
Like everybody was just like, this is awful. But like, I feel like, it's basically a JRPG roguelite.
Yeah. You need to approach it on its terms and not, I want Breath of Fire 5.
Exactly. And so like I feel like people are more open to roguelites now. Back then it was just not a thing. Like you really didn't play a lot of these roguelike games. Like they didn't really like, they weren't prominent or anything like that. So like I feel like if it were to come back, or like people would try it again, maybe I'm wondering if I would experience it or like it more in this, like at this point in my life.
Maybe I've thought about going back to it as well. I know the one thing that still has aged awkwardly is that game is dark, like visually dark. Like being able to see what's happening on the battlefield half the time is such a goddamn headache. Because it's like, oh, you're in these dark underground tunnels, so of course there's no lighting, and you're like, why? Let me see what's happening in this fight.
Yeah. That is accurate. Yeah, that's definitely not aged well.
I also love how, because Dallah's the guest today, we're effectively doing a post show right now. Like it's really what kind of happened.
Oh,
like we wrapped up the topic, and it's like, yeah, let's just do a post show, like JRPG Pursuit style,
It's true. I brought that out. I like that. Like we have the topic was like a very like singular space, and then it was just us meandering through it.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun. I love that. It's fun all day. I can do this. I can do this for hours.
That is the vibes of this podcast.
Yeah. Like I gave you that warning up front where it's like, look, we have very loose rules here. Like we kind of know what we want to talk about, and then both Cam and I absolutely have a habit of just going off on tangents, and we let it happen.
Yeah.
Like if we start hitting the 3-hour mark, then I'm like, okay, wait, no, hold on. We have lives to this. But
no, exactly.
We made a podcast with 2 yappers who like to yap. So,
oops.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I'm tangents. I'm all tangents.
So One last question before we let you go and we
Yeah.
wrap up the pod. What are some of your like most anticipated games for the rest of the year? What are you looking forward to?
Oh man, I think I just dropped a video about that too.
Oh wow,
Um,
wow, wow.
uh,
youtube.com/@DallahGames.
at All Games, check it out.
Yeah. Don't reveal the full list here. Give them something to give them a taste, and then make them go check out the full video.
Exactly. The big ones is like I said with the Digimon game. I think that's like one of my most like that and Trails, of course. We talked about Trails in the Sky.
Yeah.
First chapter. I'm excited to replay that because I'm probably just gonna. I'm going straight into that. I don't care about anything. But I'll give you two more. So Ghost of Yote.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am so pumped for that. Like Ghost of Tsushima was because it came at like a weird time. Like it was like during the pandemic,
Right.
and I like just delved into that game, and it was the most like one of the most beautiful experiences of a game in general. Like I just loved like the fact that the UI was like almost non-existent. The game just flowed really well, and it's just beautiful.
The wind blowing for like objective was the smartest goddamn thing. I loved that.
I
So
know.
much.
And the fact that they tied it into like the spirit of his father and all this stuff, like it was just like it's such like the creativity that went into that game to make it just like a beautiful experience is awesome. And I'm excited to see what they do with this new version, because like they do no wrong, right? Like they're so good at
They make good stuff.
So yeah, they make good stuff. So there's that game I'm really looking forward to, and then also just from like a 2D perspective, I'm looking forward to the new Shinobi game.
Yeah, sweet dude. We played that at SGF, and
it good?
that was the best like Eastern thing that we played. Like, or at least for speaking for myself, like
Yeah,
I was like, give me this shit now. Give me the full game. It's so good.
No, it feels
I'm
really good.
pumped. Yeah, that it just looks so like fluid. It looks fast.
Art
It looks
direction
fun.
is so wonderful. Like,
It's
Yes.
so
you
good.
can tell it's Lizard Cube who'd worked on Streets of Rage 4, and like you can see how that
Yes.
art style kind of carries over, but there's an extra degree of like fluidity and detail going on where you can just tell they've like kind
Yeah.
of cracked the code a little more. Yeah, beautiful.
Exactly. Like they've upgraded their like art style a lot more to this one, and that game, like I remember when they first dropped the trailer for that, I was just like, what is? I'm like, is this? It looks like it's either Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi. I don't know which one of this is at first. And like
They're
it
both
it
happening.
was so good. They're both happening,
Yeah.
and I'm happy for both of them.
It was so funny to me that like in less than the 3-month period, we got two games that were both 2D spiritual successors to Ninja titles, and both of them say from the people that made Streets of Rage 4, which are two different teams, but both of them worked on Streets of Rage 4. Like such a funny thing to happen like twice back to back like that. And I'm excited for both of them.
I know. Ninja fans are eating good right now because we got some good stuff coming through. Those are the games. If you want to see more, check out my video. But there's quite a few good games coming out, and I'm really pumped for them.
Yeah, speaking of not having the money to do so, like the physical version is at limited run and it ends in like 5 days, and
I know.
I'm very sad that I do not have the money to buy that. But like, you know, when you go at PAX, like they have like, you know, a lot of their recent catalog there. So I'm hoping that either at PAX West this year or PAX East next year, I can scoop it. So that's how I was able to get In Stars in Time, which is a indie JRPG that I really wanted a physical for. I went on a very strict budget during PAX East this year, and I was just like, I get to buy this if they have it, and that's it. And that's all I did. I was a good boy.
Oh yeah.
I had not seen the collector's edition for this yet, so I just feel like I need to verbally shout this out real quick. What do you mean it comes with a statue of him riding a surfboard? like that's the collector's edition of Shinobi. It's just, they just call it Joe Musashi statue, but like he's straight up on a surfboard in a ninja stance because that's how that works.
That's
beautiful.
It's either. I wonder if that's a call out to the '90s movie Surf Ninjas. Surf Ninja.
That's clearly the specific. Oh man, that's. Oh boy, 90s martial arts ninja influence films.
It is clear.
Obsessive over ninjas. Is something else.
What I learned during this podcast is that which we still, me and Kevin recognize every now and again, but the very small window of age difference between me and y'all, it has been very clear, because like y'all are saying shit that I'm like, I've never heard of this in my entire life.
So
And so it's clear that like y'all being like 3 or 4 years older than me makes a huge difference.
It makes a difference. No, so okay, I don't want to get too off track. Like I know we've gone on long this show, but it's important to emphasize the importance that is the late '90s era of kid-aimed ninja live-action movies with like Surf Ninja, Three Ninjas, where it's like little kids. Even like Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley. Like there was this whole very weird obsession with Hollywood, and none of it has aged well. I mean, all of it is massive amounts of Orientalism and like just a lot of problematic stuff. But like being a product of its time, it is. Oh god, and it's also that era where like you had to inject like hip hop into everything because that's what the kids are into now, right? And so like that's in there too. It's oh man. The only one that I think has aged well, and this is also a much larger IP, the first live action TMNT movie is like legitimately cinema.
The live action
movie is actually so good. Yeah. But like the original first one that was like an indie style film, like it's actually it's easy to be like, oh yeah, this IP I love like has a good fun thing. Like no, it's like a legitimately well shot, well executed like film.
Exactly.
Like actually, it's
that first movie is like because like I was a TMNT like fiend growing up. Like I have like over there I have a shelf and I have like an old my old Ninja Turtles like food tray as a kid. And I have like a was it like a Leonardo or Donatello? I don't remember which one, but it's like the cereal, like the bowl that came in the cereal box, like with the cereal box, back in the day, and it had like a green bowl with a little turtle head on it. So like I was obsessed with the turtles, and so like when that first movie came out, I was blown away. And plus, like that first movie is just like not really for kids either.
It's really not.
It is very dark. It's extremely dark.
Like you go from that to like, Mystery of the Ooze, and like there's a tone shift. Yeah. Absolutely.
Completely. Like 2 is a little bit more sillier. It's more like kids or like it channels the animated cartoon a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean that's where you get Go
like
Ninja Go with Vanilla Ice and everything.
If you want to see a turtle get down.
Yeah.
Oh man, those are classics though. Yes, but TMNT, the first movie that aged to this day, I still watch that movie. But.
Hell of a note to end the podcast on.
All right. I love it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Dallah, thank you for volunteering your time to come on and talk about JRPGs and other Eastern titles
anytime.
with us. Where can the good folks find you?
Yes, they can find me at they can find me at the podcast, so youtube.com/JRPG_Pursuit. And then you can find me at my own channel, which is at Dallah Games, DALLAH Games, GAMES. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Dallah Games, same thing as my YouTube channel. And then pretty sure the same thing on Blue Sky. I don't remember how like the handles work on Blue Sky. It's a bit long.
Yeah, Dallah Games. The rest doesn't matter. Dallah Games. You can find me on Blue Sky or whatever like that. Or you can actually find me on TikTok too. I do have a TikTok. No, I don't really advertise it. I do a lot of random stuff on there. But you can find me in all sorts of places. I'm just kind of whoring myself out. Well, awesome. We're gonna have to snag Emily next and get her on the pod soon.
Yes.
But
and
yes, and we got some.
Brandon's actually banned from us. Not.
That's true.
But no, we got some potentially cool things in the works with the JRPG Pursuit crew. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But we're cooking.
Yeah. Hopefully there will be. But
yeah, Kevin, you have anything for the people before we dip out?
No, not today. Other than go watch the original TMNT live action movie from the 90s. Or late 80s. Was that one actually like 89? I forget. That one was.
I think it was 89.
Yeah. Anyways, go watch that. It's really good.
Yeah.
And then maybe Mystery of the Ooze, but you'll get a little whiplash. They're very different.
Yeah. Different, but still fun. You'll enjoy it.
And my message for y'all is to play Star Renegades, $25 on your digital shop of choice or physical for 30. You can follow Kevin at Kevin Kenson. You can follow me on socials at Cam Final Mix. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.
Take care, everyone.